Good morning, it's DJ and PK. It's 97.5 The Zone. Welcome in on a Monday morning. We are closing in on the start of college football now. Can you believe this? We are 12 days away from the Utes, Cougars, and Aggies season opener, and I, for one, am ready. And we got some news on that coming up. College football, the Big Ten floating 24 and 2018 playoff proposals. Oh, man. All right, we'll get to that in our next segment and later this morning, too. Let's start off with a team that had a bad weekend, and that would be Real Salt Lake. They went to Charlotte, a team that's excellent at home. They got beat 1-0, gave up a goal on a set piece in the first half. Couldn't score, playing shorthanded. Diego Luna with the red card. He was out. There were so many things that happened in this game. 3 minutes into the game, Charlotte's best player is frustrated and grabs a McAnally by the neck and throws him down. Now, hands to the face, hands to the neck, violent conduct, all those things can get you a red card, but of course he got a yellow. And at the same, almost within like 30 seconds of that, there's a play at the other end of the field where RSL was attacking and Xavier Gozo hits a cross and it hit Tim Ream's hand, clear as day, and it was away from his body. And they didn't call it. But the VAR saw it and thought, well, that's a handball. And they tell the ref, go look at it in the monitor. It looks like a handball. And what do the refs say? No, that's not a handball. Although the ball hit the hand and the hand wasn't against the body. So Pablo Mastroeni after the game was a little more than frustrated. As a matter of fact, I opened up by asking the first question was, what'd they tell you about the handball? I didn't even go to the hands around the neck. That came up later. But it went right to the handball, and he just voluntarily brings up what he's told by the league during the week about the Red Bull game last weekend when there were 2 penalties and 2 red cards and an elbow to the face that didn't get called. So Pablo's on one. Here he is after the game.
The foul on Luna should have been called before the altercation. So, DJ, I'm at a loss as to how things work, how VAR plays a role. It just seems like the more we're involved, the further away we get to uncovering how this whole system works.
Olatunji makes his first appearance. The heel flick to himself was fairly spectacular, but there were stretches where he didn't look that connected, which might be not very many training sessions with a group. How do you assess the performance of a guy who's had so little time with the group?
Yeah, and he hasn't had a full preseason either, and I think it's just, we're up against time, and the most important thing is that he completed the game. I thought he had some really good actions. He's still trying to understand the way we press, the way we attack. But I think you saw in that one play what he's capable of. I think he had a couple really good moments. And again, that's why this window is so difficult in this league, right? Because the players you get more than likely aren't going to be fit. And now we have 8 games left to try to get him up to speed, learn the tactics, know his teammates, understand the league, play on grass, play on turf, travel 5 hours. So it's not an easy endeavor, but he's a real committed player. I think he's gonna help us out a ton.
Didn't seem like there was much direct play over the top, which we've come to see. Maybe some opportunities to get him behind. Tim Ream's 37, test him a little bit. Was that part of the game plan, or is it just the way things went as it unfolded?
Yeah, I think it's I think it's a double-edged sword, DJ, where I think we could have exploited that space behind a little bit more, but we also wanted to control the game with the ball, knowing that they were going to be in a block and find our moments to kind of, to play between the lines. And I think we did a good job of that, in particular in the second half, finding Diogo in central positions where he's able to turn and then feed our forwards. Because, again, this is a team that's real dangerous in transition. And, again, long balls put you in a position where you won't control the game as much, although it could be more dangerous to score goals. To your point, but again, I think that's definitely an area that we'll look at and continue to work on. And I think a big part of that was we weren't able to find Pablo Ruiz in this game. Part of it was his movement. A part of it was the quickness of our rotations was a bit slow at times. And again, Pablo Ruiz is the player that unlocks defenses behind the back line, and we just weren't able to find him enough.
Luna suspended for Minnesota. Gozo suspended. Agata is suspended. Is it just next man up? What do you do without that? That's a lot of goals and assists there.
Yeah, I think my message to the team is like, listen, I come in every game and I'm like, relatively speaking, we play a good game tactically. Um, the margins in this league are so thin. We got beat on a set piece tonight. And really what it comes down to, DJ, is making plays. And so my challenge to the group is like, listen, the effort was there, the commitment was there, the tactical understanding was there. But at the end of the day, and I've said this in the past, is you got to make a play on offense. And it doesn't matter if it's from a set piece, run a play, a long throw. You just got to hit the back of the net. We've got to have somebody that's willing to take the burden of scoring the goal for us, right? And so that's my challenge to the group. And so with those two out, the next two will step in, and the expectations are the same. We need to make a play.
Last one for me. The summer transfer window closes the 21st. Is the club all done, or might something happen?
There's still a possibility that something may happen, but again, I think it's going to go down to the wire whether or not it comes through to fruition.
Thank you, Pablo.
Yep.
Caleb Turner, you're next, then we'll come in the room here with Maddie Casey.
Thanks for hopping on, Pablo. We talked about the handball already, but there was also that the yellow on Zaha right in front of your bench that seemed like it could have been violent conduct, and then a couple out of bounds calls that probably should have been corners for your team that didn't get called corners. I saw Sam Junka after one of those corner calls. Just reading his lips, looked like he said, "What's going on?" It's one thing you watch it from the sidelines and on TV, but for your guys that are on the field going through it, is the frustration mounting?
No, I think unfortunately it is. And again, I think it goes back to just consistency. And, you know, I'm just bemused at what has occurred in the last couple games. Again, it's not deliberate, but it just seems like we're on the wrong side of these moments. And I always talk about moments change games, right? So if the penalty, obviously, if someone upstairs calls, because her thing, the referee's stance was that his arms were in a natural position. So therefore, the communications with VAR, if the VAR referee sends her to the video, the monitor, there's obviously some discrepancy in what they're both seeing, right? And so it just feels like, week after week, we're on the phone with the people at Pro and talking about what this is. And I think the Mecca thing is real too. Grabbing somebody by the head and neck and throwing them to the ground is like, I used to think that was a red card. And we've been red carded for things that were just innocent. And so again, I think the biggest struggle for me, and I think the players as well, is just the consistency in what we're dealing with and trying to navigate what is acceptable and what is not. And I think that does lead to frustrations, and it does lead to focusing on things beyond your control, which is something we talk about. But again, these players are humans, right? And if they feel like they're being hard done, you're not going to just go, oh, but our coach told us to be just control the controllables. They're competitors. They're in the arena. And so, but again, that's obviously not our focal point. We've got to help ourselves and make plays on both sides of the ball. The set piece, on all our set pieces. I think we got to do a better job. We got to be more aggressive. We got to be willing to. I've always said in the past where attacking set pieces is about people that are willing to break their neck to score a goal, right? And that's not evident, right? You've got to be willing to put yourself in a vulnerable position to make a play. And obviously they had a player that was willing to do that, and we haven't. So we've got to rethink our mentality on those plays on set pieces. Because again, like I said, the margins are really, really thin. And every play matters.
Appreciate it, Pablo.
Maddie Casey here in the room, and then we'll finish up with Carlos Artiles after that.
Hey, Pablo, what was the message to the team in the locker room immediately after the loss?
It was just about, listen, we come in, there's been a lot of performances this year where tactically it was well done. The effort was top. But what's been eluding us, I think, is making plays in that final third, and not, there's some great stuff in there. There's some really good opportunities. But like the there's a belief factor that needs to be a part of our psyche where we're believing as individuals that we're greater than what we really are. This alter ego that says I'm gonna put this in the top shelf, and it just feels like there's a little bit of doubt in the choice of shot or the type of shot, where there needs to be more conviction, and then make plays defensively on the goal that we conceded. The game is about moments, and moments drive momentum, right? And so if we want to make a run at these playoffs, we've got to start believing that we are going to make plays in these difficult moments that the best players make, right? And we have a talented group, and so that's my challenge to them is you've got to believe you're going to score a goal before you receive the ball. And then everything comes into play. But if there's any doubt or we're apathetic because things aren't going our way with the calls, then we're going to struggle to win games. Because at the end of the day, the game is won and lost in milliseconds. And tonight was the same case.
Well, thank you. What did you see from Cruz and Victor Olatunji and Diogo, specifically those three?
Yeah, I think the first half, I think both halves, I think the guys did a pretty good job. I think in the second half, I think Diogo, we ended up going 1 under 2, and I think Diogo did a really good job of finding some good pockets. Our pivots and our back line did a really good job of finding Diogo in tight spaces, and then releasing Gozo and Victor and Juan in those pockets. And so again, I think we've been dangerous. I think I think we had like 6 or 7 shots on goal tonight. And in these games, especially as an away team, what I really like is that we play the same way whether we're home or away. And that's really hard to get to a point as a group where you believe you can do that, right? The next part of it is we need one of those to hit the back of the net. And now we can control the game on our terms, right? But I think the 3 of them did a good job. My expectations for Victor and Juan is that it's going to take a little bit of time, and unfortunately, we're up against time, and that's the difficult part. But I think with the performance tonight, they did a good job, and we need to just take it up one step from this performance, and I think the guys will do it.
And then last one for me, I was curious to see how Agata was going to respond to hitting the bench now with these new additions. What did you see from him when he came on?
I thought he was really impactful on both sides of the ball. I think defensively he did a great job pressing. Offensively got into really good spots and had a couple shots on goal. So again, I think it's a position where in the past few years he's been accustomed to coming into games and changing them. I thought he did that for us tonight. Unfortunately, he won't be available for the next game, but I thought it was a really good performance coming off the bench.
Thanks.
Yep.
There's Pablo Mastroeni after the game. Now, all the talk's going to be about the refereeing, and I understand that. There have been big calls and big no calls, and it doesn't make any sense, and they're game-changing plays. I mean, RSL could have been up a goal and a man 3 minutes into the game. Now, having said that, maybe they don't convert the penalty. Maybe they give up a goal a man down. I mean, who's to say, right? But, man, their odds would have been really good, and that's the second time this has happened. They had a chance to be up a goal and up a man in Nashville, and they didn't get a call that looked incredibly obvious. So, but all that aside, I thought Pablo in there, when he was asked about the problems, and he volunteered, and I think this is spot on. I totally agree with him. He said it's about belief, and this team does not believe. If you go back to Pablo's first year when he takes over midseason, I don't know that they had any business winning some of the games they won, especially the last game of the regular season and the playoffs, but they did because they really believed. And the difference between a team that hopes to win and a team that expects to win is massive. A team that hopes to get a goal or score a touchdown or hit a home run, that's different than the team that expects to score a goal, expects to score a touchdown, expects to hit a home run. And they had it in 21, and they don't have it right now. And I thought that was pretty clear watching the game. They were doing the right things, but not with real conviction in the final and third. Not like, this is going to happen. It was more like, I hope something happens. And the odds of something happening at that point go way down. All right, after the game, Justen Glad, he's the leader. What a bad time to be the leader. So, nonetheless, they asked him to come do postgame, and he did. Didn't seem thrilled about it. I don't blame him for not being thrilled, but he did the right thing showing up, that's for sure. Here's Justen Glad after the loss in Charlotte.
Hey, Justin, a couple couple of frustrating road trips for you guys out there to the East Coast. Was there any element of like fatigue, after a long, tough game last week and then having to make the long trek out there again this week?
Uh, uh, no, I wouldn't say there's an element of fatigue. I mean, it's a long season every year, and you got away trips every year. Um, yeah.
And then just, speaking to the frustration of some of the officiating calls, talking to Pablo, he said it's mostly just the inconsistency that seems frustrating. For you guys on the field, does it feel like things are inconsistent from game to game?
Yeah, I would say so. I think this game and the last game, I think there's been maybe some questionable calls. But you know, they just put their hand up and then we move on to the next. We take two L's and I don't really know. It is a little frustrating for sure. Because yeah, I don't know. Maybe Willie gets a handball early in the year off of a header that he's not even looking at the ball and he's clearly jumping up for the header, and that's an unnatural position, I guess, but this one's not. So I don't know. I don't know. It is frustrating.
And then the only goal tonight scored on that free kick. You had the foul that set up the free kick, and then just maybe talk us through giving up that header and how you guys can improve on those set pieces.
Um, hmm. Yeah, I mean, we just gotta clear the ball. Yeah, I don't know. We'll work on it this week. I don't have an answer right at the moment.
Okay, appreciate it, Justin.
Cheers.
Go ahead, Maddie.
Hey, Jay. So you got a foul called against you, a yellow card for what I would consider a soccer play, going on a tackle where, it's just a little bit, the timing was off. But then the calls weren't going the other way on what I would consider non-soccer plays. I'm specifically referring to Zaha throwing Emeka down by his neck.
Yep.
How do you stay aggressive in a game when it's difficult knowing what the ref's going to call, what they're not?
Yeah, it's tough, definitely. Obviously after I pick up a yellow, it's hard to go as hard because you're worried about getting a red. Again, I don't want to speak too much on the refereeing tonight. But yeah. Yeah. I don't know.
Well, I mean, I'm not trying to get you fined. You're one of the leaders on the back line. Obviously, next week you're going to be playing with a new back line. How do you, as one of the leaders in the team, how do you help integrate new players like Juan and Victor while you're simultaneously, working with new defensive partners every week?
Yeah. I think the defensive part is a little easier just because, they've been around the whole year. And it's, got a lot of trust, a lot of faith with anyone we put in there. But just getting Victor and Juan on the same page and it's always hard joining a new team and learning the system, how we press and all that. But I think they've done a fantastic job there. They're working every day to understand it and to improve it. So yeah, I think that part obviously it does take a little bit of time. Obviously we're at a point in the season where you don't have much time to really figure things out, but I think they're going to be, I think they'll be solid and get on the same page quick.
And then last one for me, 5 of the next 7 at home. As you said, points are valuable at this point. What's the focus of the team going into a home stand?
Yeah, no, we just need to win games. Obviously, we want to play good soccer and all that, but at this point, it's just about picking up points. Pretty ugly, doesn't matter. We just need to make sure we get as many points as possible and get above that playoff line.
All right, there's Justen Glad after the loss in Charlotte. All right, DJ and PK, we're going to take a break. When we come back, BYU basketball coach Kevin Young is going to join us on the show. We got to talk about that. And also we have to talk about the Big Ten proposal to add more playoff, maybe go screaming past 16 to 24 or 28 teams. That's coming up next. Stay with us. Good morning, DJ and PK. It's 97.5 The Zone. Welcome in on a Monday morning. Coming up, we've got BYU basketball coach Kevin Young joining us. He's going to be here at 9 o'clock, and there's a lot to talk to him about. One thing is the nature of college basketball changing, and there are so many things changing all at once, right? We know about the transfer portal. It's massive. And another thing, obviously, NIL. And certainly for BYU, the NIL numbers are massive. I think Utah and Utah State are dishing out a fair amount of money. Nowhere near what BYU is dishing out, but nonetheless a considerable chunk of money. So we can talk to them about that. But I also think that this really impacts a lot of the top high school players in the state. And partly it's the NIL, but and partly it's BYU's new goals, that they want to routinely be not just an NCAA tournament team, but routinely be a Sweet 16 team, right? And then in your big years, Elite Eight, Final Four, national championship game, national title, right? So what does this do to the local guys? And there's going to be a lot of crying and gnashing of teeth because a lot of kids and their parents and their grandparents have grown up literally for decades and for generations dreaming of playing for the local school, whoever, whatever down the street from whatever school, wherever dad or grandpa or mom played or whatever, whether that was go to BYU or go to Utah. And the odds of that happening are going down, and they're going down quickly. And we'll talk with Kevin about this. And I know they still recruit local kids, right? And BYU just signed a local kid, but he was a top 100 kid. And how many of those are there going to be? How often? One a year, one every other year, one every third year. It seems to run in cycles. There seemed to be a lot of top recruits in the 90s, and it seemed to have dropped off, although there were still some along the way, no doubt. And I think that, it's really important to look at the scoreboard and to look at the standings. BYU, for years, since the end of Rick Majerus, Rick did a great job of getting the best players in the state. But that changed. And from, 05 to 20, BYU got most of the best players in the state. Not all of them. Leverage went to Utah, and they had NCAA teams while he was there. And obviously Sam Merrill went to Utah State, right? And they were really good when he was there. There are other examples too. But I think the vast majority of those kids went to BYU. And when BYU, their bread and butter was local kids, they were routinely finishing third in the West Coast Conference. And they were routinely going out in the tournament semis, maybe the final, often the semis. And now they're in the Big 12. And, man, there's 16 teams in there, and they are no joke. Half that league can go to the NCAA tournament. And the truth is, there's probably 12 programs that can go fairly often now, depending on who's having a big year and who has injuries, right? You're probably not going to get more than about 8 teams in. But that doesn't mean that beating teams 9, 10, 11, and 12 is easy. It's not. It's difficult. So if you go with the same roster that was finished in third in the West Coast Conference, where do you think you're going to end up in the Big 12? Somewhere between 5 and 12, depending on the year. And can you win with freshmen? Can you afford to pay freshmen? Or even with all of BYU's NIL money, do they need to invest that in the top 8 players who are going to play? And does a kid want to go to BYU, not get NIL money, and be player 14? Or get very little NIL money when they can go somewhere else and be the star and play? Now, I really think the equation is changing here for local kids. And I'll be interested to talk with Kevin about this, on the record, on the air, and see what he says. I kind of got an idea of what he's saying behind the scenes. So I want to see how much of it he's going to say on the air. My guess is he's going to say it all, but we'll see. He's going to be here at 9 o'clock, and PK and I both find this topic really interesting, so we'll delve into it. And I also wonder, does that mean these local kids fall to Weber State and to UVU and to Southern Utah and to Utah Tech, or do these kids go out of state? We're seeing more football players being willing to go out of state. And I think the equation is changing quickly for basketball players. And will we see local kids still at these schools, but will we see them as bounce-back kids? Maybe you play your high school basketball here, you go somewhere else and play for 2 years, and then, man, if you get a chance to play in the Big 12, you get a chance to come home and play for the Cougars or the Utes, maybe the Aggies in the Pac-12. Is that going to become a common path? And if so, will it be at one of those schools, or will it be 2 or 3 of them? All things to talk to Kevin Young about, and I find all those things fascinating. So we'll talk with him coming up at 9 o'clock. We're going to talk football with Kevin Graham at 8 o'clock, and one of the topics we're going to have to talk to him is this recent story. The Big Ten has proposed 24 and 2018 playoffs. I think a couple things. One, I'm sure the reporting is correct, and I think people jump on the reporting too quickly. It's the times we live in. Everybody likes to be a contrarian and claim someone else is doing something just for clicks. I think the reporting is accurate. I think when you say it's being considered, it's been floated, that's true. It also doesn't mean it's going to happen. It might happen, but there's also, we've now seen at least 4 different plans, 12 teams, 16 teams, 24, 28 teams. We've seen them all floated. We've seen automatic bids and then the rest at large. We've seen a plan where leagues are getting multiple automatic bids, 2, 3, or 4, depending on which league you are and which plan we're talking about. I think what we're seeing is a desire from the Big Ten, which means a desire from Fox, to create more games. They want more inventory. There's an appetite for college football, and there are networks that want games, and there are TV windows to put them in. And quite frankly, there are millions of Americans who will watch these games, and the TV networks will pay the schools for them. So I think one way or another, we're going to get more games because I'm going to watch them. PK is going to watch them. Jake's going to watch them. You're going to watch them. Maybe not all of them, many of them. So why have a conference championship weekend and only have, 6 or 8 games? Does that make any sense? 4 conference championship games in the 4 power leagues, and maybe people watch the Mountain West title game or the Pac-12 title game or the American or whatever. But realistically, they want more Power 4 teams playing. And they want you to sit there and watch 3 or 4 games. And ESPN would like to have 3 games on ABC and 3 games on ESPN. And Fox would like to have 3 more games on Fox and maybe, 2 or 3 games over there on FS1. And how do you do that? Well, either you have the 3rd and 6th place teams play for an automatic bid, or the 4th and 5th place teams play for automatic bids, or you make a bigger tournament. Now you can say, well, it's a bigger tournament, it's going to water it down. Yeah, probably. But is it going to water it down so much people don't watch? I highly doubt that. I highly doubt that. I mean, will it get the numbers that the semis and the finals are getting? No. But will the fans of the 2 teams watch? Yes, in big numbers. Will people who gamble on the game watch? Yes. Will people who root for the team, the winner's going to play the winner of this game, watch? Yes, they will. I mean, will people who love football watch because it's football? Yes, they will. Well, then you can make money off it. And this is not a new story. Why did the NBA expand to 16 teams in the mid-'80s? Why did the NCAA tournament go from 32 teams in 1975 to 64 teams in 1984? And despite the fact that is a beautiful tournament, why did it go to 65 teams to 68 teams? And why are they talking about 72 or 76? Because more games equals more money, because people will watch the games. So do I think this is going to 28? No, I really don't. But is it going to go to 16 or 24? Yes, I believe it will. I believe it will. More games equals more money. And they're also figuring out, they think that this will have a multiplier effect across all of late October, November, that there'll be more teams still in the mix and more people will watch those games. You've still got a chance. I mean, the NBA went from letting in 4 teams in the West to 6 to 8. More teams have a chance. I mean, they don't, but people still watch those games and they make money off them. Why did the baseball playoffs, 2 divisions was fine? Why did they go to 3 divisions and a wild card? More postseason inventory. Why did they add a second wild card? Why did they add a 3rd wild card? Why did the NFL add a 7th playoff team in each conference? Was anybody really screaming for that? No, but there were TV windows. And there were viewers, and people will watch, and they'll make money. It's going to happen. Follow the yellow brick road. College football is just doing what the NFL's already done. If they're smart, they would have done it before the NFL and staked their claim to some of those windows. But they're going to do it now. It does feel like that. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, David Locke talking hoops. Stay with us. Good morning, DJ and PK. It's 97.5 The Zone. David Locke joined us late in the show on Friday. Talked a little hoops with him. And then we also talked about Larry Markin, really interesting topic. And we also talked football with him. He grew up going to Stanford games with his dad. He didn't go to school there, but he rooted for the team. They had great memories. They bonded, as so many of us do, with family and friends. And now Stanford's in the ACC. Hey. David Locke, talking football and talking hoops right here on The Zone. David, first time we've talked to you since Arden won it. Congrats to her. First time I talked to her. Yeah.
I talked to PK.
Yeah, I was on vacation.
Yeah, and PK texts me he seems to actually care. Just point that out. Thanks, PK. Love you, bud.
You're welcome.
I'm right there with you. Yeah. Yeah, it was great. And then Bandon Dunes was amazing. That was really an incredible experience. And the Utah Golf Association just does such an incredible job. And the Utah Junior Golf Association here, really probably one of the most untalked about stories we have had over the last few years between Boston Bracken in Southern Utah, Bowen Moss, Kihei, Kihei's brother, the Shelleys. There's just been that's the Ponaches. Like, there's just been family after family after family of just these incredible golfers, and they're pumping out 5, 6, 7, 8, big time Division I golfers every year.
Where's Bowen Moss going to play golf?
I think he's going to. Isn't he going to Arizona State? Didn't he leave Oklahoma State and going to Arizona State?
Yeah, I just wanted to hear you say that.
Fair point. Sorry, I thought it was a legitimate question for a brief moment. I'm not quite on my game yet this morning. My fault.
Oh, like you wouldn't do it when Stanford was flying high in football. Get out of town.
There's some sincerity. There was some real sincerity there. Gosh, how should have jet lag gets me right there. The fact that it feels like it's 4:30 in the morning right now. Maybe it just caught me. I think that's it's just really. I really do. I think what Jeff Thurman does with the Utah Golf Association, and then also what Colin and everyone's doing with the Utah Golf Association, probably should be talked about more. It's really, for a place that doesn't have golf 12 months a year, people are always awfully surprised with the quality of the kids that come out here, and the program, the collegiate program at BYU is so good. So maybe Utah will add women's golf one of these days.
It is college football season, and PK just referenced Stanford. BYU will play Stanford week 2. Is there any chance with an interim coach and everything in transition that Stanford's going to put together a good team this year, or does this just feel like a transition year and this is going to be rough and you're going to watch something else?
On a personal note, and I don't know if it's just because of conference realignment. I do think it's because of that, but I don't know anything. I'm totally disengaged. I didn't know we even played BYU in week 2. It's really what has taken place for me, and the team's terrible, right? So there's let's not ignore the fact that simultaneously to conference realignment, and actually I don't care about nil, but conference realignment I do care about. Simultaneously that Stanford got terrible. Okay, so. But I will tell you, I don't know anything. I'm not engaged. When they play Florida State, it just doesn't mean anything to me. If they play Duke, I just don't care. So as I am one who, and I didn't go to school there, I'm just a fan, but the whole part to me about being a fan was the fact that Dad and I went to games and that we have these memories, and that every week I could call, and if we were playing Washington, you were remembering John Elway's scramble and Vinnie White's punt return, and that there were just these various moments in time that mattered to you. And I just don't have those anymore at all. And so I look at the schedule, and there's not a single game on the schedule that makes me go, oh, I'm fired up for that, other than maybe playing Cal. And so I'm a casualty of either one of two things: terrible football or the modern system. And I do think Nil's going to impact some people just because of, but mine's conference realignment, that they've just taken away the history. And by taking away the history, they've taken away my fandom.
Yeah, you hit that last time, and I get it. We'll have to have some changes down the road. And I've been talking to David Shaw after he left Stanford. He was talking about there will be a time where there'll be some more geographical common sense, where we're just going to have to wade through these times and get – I have a feeling it's going to be like we're going to look back and the way we do now with baseball stadiums and think about
those concrete, no personal flair, no form of charm whatsoever stadiums that were also used for football, and we look back and we say, what the heck were they doing then? Why did they build those stadiums when now they've got these stadiums that, you know, are on grass and they show the city to a good degree, or the warehouse building, whatever it might be. I think years from now, when we're long gone, people are going to look back, wait a second, you're telling me Stanford and Cal played in the Atlantic Coast Conference when they were literally minutes away from the Pacific Ocean, and they played in the Atlantic Coast Conference? So David Shaw was saying there will be some common sense will be restored, and you're just going to have to wait until then.
I would hope so. I don't know. You know, I also think Stanford has to make some really honest evaluations of like what they're trying to do or not trying to do, and their previous athletic director was malpractice. So that, I think, has hurt them a great deal.
You are the radio voice of the Utah Jazz, and the schedule just came out in a year where, you know, the Jazz have made deep playoff runs, and you look at big games and rematches with other potential teams. I get some of the attraction of that. But in a year where we're just looking at 3 rookies, 3 second-year guys, and 3 third-year guys, and seeing who can really emerge and, you know, grab their opportunity and show what they can do, that could be any night against any opponent. So I don't really see what the schedule, unless you're, you know, you want to see the Joker when he comes to town, or you're a Laker fan from Southern California, you want to see them when it comes to town. But as far as just purely the Jazz, I just don't see it having that much impact.
I agree. I do think the schedule has a really, when you're good, I think it's actually really important. Like, there's some interesting notes on Denver and how their road home split is really one-sided. I think they're really road heavy early, and then they play something like 20 of their last 30, I think, at home. Those things I think really matter. I think that's bad for Denver, by the way. Like, you know, I think they'll start poorly, and people, whether we all remember this or not, people will worry about it. I think they're, you know, because they have as big a home court advantage as anyone. I do think with good teams, schedule really, really matters. Like, it's a game or two, and we've seen what a game or two does, right? You're right. For the Jazz, I think, you know, what jumped out to me is every NBA schedule has kind of one brutal stretch. I'm not, you know, that's the reality. It's never equally distributed. In fact, the one year where I think it was most equally distributed was maybe one of the worst years I've ever been through from a fatigue standpoint, because you never got a reset. And we play, I think we're gone 17 of 20 nights from December 31st to January 18th. Like, so that jumped out at me. Otherwise, there aren't a lot of stretches where you're like, oh dear, you know, what's going to happen. But yeah, you want to know when Cooper Flagg's coming to town, and when you're getting that matchup, and when you're going to see, you know, I think, you know, there's some games that maybe don't, you know, the Spurs obviously have incredible intrigue with Victor, and then you want your Giannis trip and those things. So I agree with you 100%. I don't think I look at this and say, wow, this is really going to change the season, or that. The only one I was a little interested in, and I couldn't find it, was is there any stretch where they could gain some confidence? And maybe early. Like, I don't know if you noticed, but early is particularly soft. So you've got the Clippers and Sacramento, who are both – Clippers are good, Sacramento's okay. Phoenix and Portland, who might not be great. Back to Phoenix, then to Charlotte, then to Boston, who might not be great. Like, it's actually – I mean, we could lose all of them too, because we're – you know, over under, we're the worst team in the league. But it just, I thought that was nice. Like, the early part of the season isn't murderer's row, where we're going to go start the year by shouldn't start the year by getting our head beat in by 20 every night.
We've seen the Jazz jettison the older players, all except one, essentially, and obviously that is marketing. And this whatever Euro tournament they got going on now, he's lighting it up, and to no surprise, because he's going to be better than the competition that he's playing in, and he's really good when he is engaged. I'm not sure that was going on last season, but nevertheless, the new season is shortly upon us. And they can't give him away, essentially, what they did for the other guys. So what do you think is going to happen here?
I think there's a few reasons why I think he stays. And I think he's on the roster when we play our next playoff game. So one is the salary floor is real. Like the league rules that you have to have a certain amount of salary on your roster I think it's 90% of the salary cap, which is, part of the new collective bargaining agreement that like Draymond Green seems to forget when he's talking about all the problems for players. He's not actually talking about the fact that there's now a 90% salary floor. So all the players are getting paid more. And when you have to get there. Otherwise that money goes into a pool. It's not even like the old days where it goes into your own players and so they benefit. So that's one. Two is you do need to have, Lowry's not blocking anyone's minutes. Like, I think there was a real question that, like, Colin and some of those guys might have been blocking some minutes. And then number three is you actually have to have some semblance of the ability to play and some good players to allow everyone to develop. And then number four is there has to be a path to being good again. And so the path is that Ace Bailey hits to some level, right? Like, let's say he's, could be on the upside. He's a Jason Tatum type. Okay, so that means by year 3 or year 4, he's really, really good. And let's say that you're drafting whomever next year and that they click and they're 3 or 4. Okay, you need to have this because now if you have Lowry and Ace Bailey clicks in and next year's player clicks in, and let's say 2 of the other 6 become rotation players, now you have a bunch of players under cost control. Lowry's making 40, which is probably too much in this marketplace for Lowry, but the other players are all under cost control, and you have space. Now you go in this new day and age where it's going to be so difficult for everyone to hold on to players or accumulate multiple players. Now you go grab a $35 million or a $40 million player, and while Lowry probably needs to be your 3rd best player on a really good team, his $45 million is too much money for that. And so when you start to think about how Lowry fits, well, Lowry fits in the sense that if he's making $40 million and he's your 3rd best player because Ace Bailey's clicked in and you just went and signed your best player, and so those 2 guys are now your top players, then it works. Like Lowry's $45 million works because Ace Bailey or whoever the other kid we draft is are under cost control, and now you really have a roster. You've got to – I don't think I explained that very well, but you've got to have a path by which you can get there in the next 4 or 5 years, and Lowry's a part of that path. If you eliminate the Lowry-type player, a really good top 1, 2, or 3 player – and you don't have, and you're completely barren, boy, it's a long way before the young kids come together. You need the young kids to come together while under cost control, while having someone on the roster, and then you'll have money to sign those other players. A good example that's not as sexy, but is what Oklahoma City did, overpaying Isaiah Hartenstein, maybe even overpaying Alex Caruso. They can do that because Chet and Jalen are under cost control right now. And so that's an example of what I'm talking about, not maybe as pronounced. I mean, I think I'm talking much more that, like, Lowry hits, Jaylen Brown becomes available, and Boston doesn't, continue. Boston really just turns the corner because Tatum can't come back or something. And now you add Jaylen Brown with Ace Bailey and Lowry Markkinen, and now the next kid hits, and Keontae's a rotation player, and Walker's your center, and everyone's 3 or 4 years older, and now you've got it. Now you've got something there, and you've built it, and Lowry's a part of that. I believe Lowry will be on the roster the next time the Jazz play a playoff game.
I get your point. Markkinen starting at $46 million, and he's going to $53 by the end of the deal. But that's also the end of Ace Bailey's rookie deal at $12 million. So if you're paying the 2 of them $65 million, and the team's really good, the $65 million number works. Even if the 53 looks way too high, the 12 looks way too low. So it works out.
Right. Here's kind of we'll have to have more data. But last year, the 4 teams that were in the conference finals, their 2 best players combined for $85 million or less. All the teams ended up having a real ended up falling short in some way.
Minnesota's trading of Karl Anthony Towns to go get 2 rotation players is, I think, the new style of trade that's important. It's where maybe Denver may have just done that with the Cam Johnson deal for Michael Porter, because they then also added Bruce Brown, and you're getting 50 minutes of play out of that. So that's where I think things are a little different now than they used to be, that your top 2 players are probably making 85. Your top 3 players are probably making about 110. Lowry, frankly, for most contending teams at $45 million or $50 million might be really hard to swallow. Lowry may be hard to move, but I think that's fine because I think he has a role for us.
There's David Locke. When we come back, what is trending? The headlines are coming up. DJ and PK, we are brought to you in part by Black Desert Resort, our title sponsor and Utah's premier golf resort.
It's time to get your morning started with the news you need to know. News update. This is what's trending with DJ and PK. Hashtag NFL.
You know, there's entertainers and there's competitors, and I totally understand that. And my job is to compete, and that's what I'm focused on doing. Of course, we're doing this mid-game, but it's something that I'll get used to, and just want to be the best team that I can and create an environment where we can all go do our best work. That's all we want to do.
Dylan Gabriel on entertainers and competitors. What is going to happen in Cleveland? Who's going to get cut loose? 5 quarterbacks. All of them look like they're playing well enough to make a roster.
Now we got to cut loose.
Sing it.
Yeah, that was thought to be a shot at, is it Barry Sanders or Shador? I have to ask that gal on ESPN. I don't know. Come on now. Number 20 wearing a Lions jersey. It ain't Shador. I knew you wouldn't want to touch that. I figured that had to be my job.
Do it. Other quarterbacks looking good in the preseason. For whatever it's worth, vanilla defenses, starters sitting. You got to take it with a grain of salt. Nonetheless, you ask the quarterbacks to perform, and Jackson Dart went 14 of 16 for 137 yards.
Against white guys?
And a touchdown.
Vanilla defense? Is that what it was?
Sure.
Well, of course.
And he ran for a score.
BYU in the old days, not now.
Giants beat the Jets 31-12. You buying Jackson Dart?
Is he for sale? Absolutely.
In your fantasy league, maybe.
I'm not I'm a governor. I'm not an owner here.
Zach Wilson, 15 of 23 for 151 yards and a touchdown. Dolphins beat Detroit 24-17. He looks like he's ticketed to be the backup. Don't you think?
He's got a ticket to ride.
Okay. Thank you, PK.
Well, didn't we already know that?
Depending on how he played, I didn't think it was locked in. I mean, I think it was probable, just looking at the names on the roster and the experience.
I have no clue who the other names on the roster are.
Football tonight, Bengals Commanders, 6 o'clock, ESPN. Rams wide receiver Puka Nacua honored on the 2025 NFL Top 100 list at number 41. That's down from 33 last year. Oh, the lack of respect. Dropped 8 spots. Although, as you like to say about John Stockton, I mean, top 50 in the NFL, that's a pretty good neighborhood. Who cares at that point, right?
You think John Stockton's only a top 50 point guard?
No, I think it's apples and oranges. There's many more NFL players than there are NBA players, so.
In the world?
You're pretty random right now. DJ and PK.
Hashtag college football.
Utah State news. Ike Larson suspended. Violation of team rules per a university statement. So what does that mean? Will he still be suspended when the opener with UTEP rolls around in a week and a half?
We're going to suspend him for the preseason?
Yeah, right. It's not an April suspension, right?
I'd have to think that would
a game, 2, 3. Texas A&M, week 2.
Well, they're not going to win that game either way, so sit him out that one.
All right. Conference opener, Air Force, week 3. Yeah, maybe he's back for that one. We'll get into this a little later in the show, but the Big Ten is pondering a proposal. They're saying, what about expanding the college football playoff to 24 or 28 teams? They would get rid of conference title games, have automatic bids for the Power 4 leagues. They seem destined to create more content for TV networks and get paid more money. Whether it's playing games 3 versus 6 or more than doubling the playoff field. We want to create more games here.
We'll play more games. That'll solve it.
Yeah. Well, they got to talk everybody else into it, apparently.
No, they don't.
Will the
just
SEC
keep playing each other 3-4 times? Have everybody play every game. Every team in the conference. They got like 40.
Will the SEC sign off on this? What about the Big 12 and the ACC?
Well, have your own title, Annie. What's the difference? Who cares?
The proposed format would see 20 playoff games played on campus, enabling a lot of teams to sell season tickets with the possibility of, hey, we could host a playoff game. Another way to make more money. Tennessee named Joey Aguilar as their starting quarterback. He joined the Volunteers, transferring to UCLA and then leaving Westwood for Rocky Top because Nico Amalavea left Tennessee for UCLA. So he has earned the job at UT. Alabama running back Jan Miller, the leading returning running back in the SEC, injured in a scrimmage Saturday, some type of upper body injury. He's expected to miss their season opener at Florida State as a result. Upper body injuries. Suddenly it's the NHL. Upper body, lower body. Would tell you nothing more. DJ PK.
Hashtag NBA.
With 3 players involved in a federal gambling investigation, the NBA and the NBA Players Association said they support further limitations on certain types of bets to reduce the risk of manipulation and combat athlete abuse by gamblers. Protecting the integrity of our game is paramount, and we believe reasonable limitations on certain prop bets should be given due consideration. Any approach should aim to reduce the risk of performance manipulation while ensuring that fans who wish to place prop bets can continue to do so via legal, regulated markets.
Who gets to decide what's
reasonable? Yeah, right.
Or
where is the line drawn and who has to agree? Or who gets to agree? Or who gets to demand?
We about covered it all.
There it is. Legislators, I guess. Casinos seem unlikely to draw a line. Maybe they will.
They got to do something. Our democracy is at stake here. It's a threat.
I don't know about that, but
I hear that about 40 times a day.
Yeah, I just don't think it applies here. DJ and PK.
Hashtag Major League Baseball.
Here's pitch hit the other way down right field line. That's in the corner. Jazz will walk home. It's 8-4 Yankees. Goldie as it rattles around in the corner. Eases into second with an RBI double. Big knock on a 3-hit day for Paul Goldschmidt on his homecoming here to St. Louis. 8-4 Yankees.
1-1 to Vientos. Hit high in the inner right field. Pretty deep. Can zone back to the track. Nearing the wall. And is gone. Mark Vientos out to right field. 3-run home run.
Breaking ball to Brooks, and he hits it high in the air. Deep right field. Does it have the distance? It does! The first grand slam of the year for the Minnesota Twins.
Pitch. Rip. That's a base hit down the left field line. The Reds have come off the mat, and they have finally beaten the Brewers. A 3-2 final score, and they will mob Austin Hayes at first base.
Cincinnati ending the Brewers' 14-game win streak. They beat them in 10 innings. Brewers hit a 2-run homer in the 9th to go up 2-1, but Reds get 1 in the 9th and 1 in the 10th, and they win the game, and Milwaukee's streak comes to an end. You also heard Mark Vientos in there, hit a 3-run homer. Mets beat the Seattle Mariners in the Little League Classic game in Williamsport. Cal Raleigh had his 47th home run in the loss. Specialty baseball games, rank them. Cornfields in Iowa, historic Negro League Stadium in Birmingham, Williamsport.
They're all great.
Yeah.
I hate List Radio at 7:11 on a Monday morning.
When do you like it?
7:20.
Okay.
We don't do your segment, List Radio.
Dodgers swept the Padres. Dodgers win 5-4. They started the weekend a game back. Now they have a 2-game lead. Same two teams will play next weekend in San Diego. But the Dodgers taking it to the Padres with 3 home runs, including Mookie Betts with a game winner in the 8th. Also in there, you heard the Yankees win. Cody Bellinger drove in 3 runs. Paul Goldschmidt had 3 hits. And San Francisco snapped a 7-game losing streak by beating the Rays 7-1. You see the Giants center fielder with the rolling, tumbling catch, trapping the ball between his knees.
Just showed it. It was their number 1 play.
Announcer called it the catch of the decade. You are prone to dramatic statements after you see something awesome. A little recency bias. You pled guilty to that. But is that the catch of the decade?
I haven't watched or can recall all the Giants catches in the 5 years of the decade.
Bees lose to the Sugarland Space Cowboys 4-2. They lose 4 of the 6 games in the series. They're off today, and they will host Reno tomorrow. DJ and PK.
Hashtag RSL.
Real Salt Lake shutout in Charlotte. They give up a goal on a free kick. Unmarked guy in a header, and that ends up being the only goal of the game. Of course, Pablo upset about the refereeing again. He was probably on edge going into this because he said in the postgame he'd been told by league officials that the 2 penalties in the New York game should have been called penalties, and Luna shouldn't have gotten a red card. There should have been a foul to kill that play before it got to that point. And then in the 3rd minute, VAR told the referee you missed a handball, and the ref went and looked at it and said, "No, I didn't." And a player got taken down by the neck, and the mood was bad. I thought the other interesting thing he said when they didn't get the red card or the penalty in the 3rd minute is he said, this team lacks belief. And when they went to the conference final his first year in 2021, no matter how bad it was, they believed they were going to win. And these guys look like they're out there hoping they're going to win, but not really believing, and it ends up costing them. They had a couple chances, couldn't finish them. They're going to host Minnesota next week. Minnesota's playing great. They're 2nd place in the West, and RSL's going to have a couple more guys suspended. Gozo's out for yellow card accumulation. So, not looking good right now as games tick away at the end of the playoff race here and the end of the regular season.
There's your soccer update here on the Zone.
DJ and PK.
Hashtag golf.
Scottie Scheffler, 82 feet from the hole. He's off the green left in the rough. Lifts this out of the rough onto the putting surface. Now bringing it down the slope towards the hole. Slowly moving. Now picking up speed. That's getting close to the hole. Now picking up speed. Getting close. Scottie Scheffler. And that is right in. He made it. Chip and birdie. Oh, my goodness. Do you believe it? Scottie Scheffler. Birdies. Hole out. 17. 15 under.
Scottie Scheffler winning the BMW Championship, his 5th win of the year. A couple of them are majors. Robert McIntyre was right there thinking, man, if Scheffler doesn't get up and down from here, and I do, we'll be tied going to the 72nd hole. And instead, Scheffler holed out. Took away the hope, gave the hope back, and then took it away. He'd had a couple bogeys on the back 9 to open the door there.
So happy for young Bennett.
And why is that?
He's going to grow up rich. And then, like most rich people, he's going to pretend, no, I did it on my own. Yeah.
Was your dad Scottie Scheffler? Didn't he win a $20 million golf tournament?
That thing, man, it just looked like it kept rolling.
Yeah.
Is there actually a hole on his green?
Well, the camera angle was all so close. You're like,
yeah,
rolling.
It's going. Where's the hole?
There was no wide angle, yeah.
Jeez.
Kia Akina, incoming freshman at BYU, won the Utah Open at Riverside Country Club. The 19-year-old, the youngest winner of the event in its 99-year history, went 17 under in the 54-hole tournament. Very impressive.
So he is going to go to BYU, and one of his advisors would have been, it would have been almost a year and a half ago. And he was unsure where he was going. And a couple guys with pretty strong BYU ties took him out to Riverside. By the time he was done,
I'm a Cougar. Danny Ainge anywhere in that mix?
It's up to you to find out.
I was told by somebody else Danny Ainge was in that mix. Ryan Smith was in that mix, and Todd Miller was in there. There's your foursome. What is Trending is brought to you by Shamrock Plumbing. There's no job too big or too small. Get the personal touch with Shamrock Plumbing. Kevin Graham is talking football at 8 o'clock. I bet he hates the idea of a 2018 playoff, but we'll find out. And Kevin Young, BYU men's basketball coach, joins us at 9 o'clock. What's he learned from 1 year in college ball? How has he changed? Has he got some new opinions now that he's been through the cycle one time? We'll talk with him coming up at 9 o'clock. DJ PK, the question of the day is next. Stay with us.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I present...
This is JJ and Alex.
Joining us on the program right now, Steve Bartley. He's our Utah insider for KSLSports.com.
I think Wayshawn is going to be the bell cow. If there's going to be a 1,000-yard rusher, I think it's going to be Parker. And then I think Dampier takes a lot of that designed QB run stuff. That's still going to be an element, just not to the same extent that it was at New Mexico.
Do you think having to be that productive in the run game hurt him in the pass game, Dampier?
Ooh, that's a great
Because
question,
I'm wondering,
JJ.
the 12-12 touchdown to interception ratio.
And if they ask him to not run the ball as much and he's got to throw it more, he better be more efficient than 12
Did
and 12.
that lend to him being less efficient as a passer?
You know what's interesting? When you look at Devin Dampier's production, when he had a clean pocket, really encouraging numbers. I think he was 63% completion percentage, 9 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. You'll take that sort of production as a passer.
Catch JJ and Alex afternoons from 3 to 6. Presented by G2G Bars on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Join JJ and Alex Wednesday from 3 to 6. They're going to be at RGS Exteriors, 4235 Farm Road in West Jordan. Question of the morning, the Big Ten may push for a 2018 football playoff. So, what do you think?
I forgot my word like.
So, what do you think? People seem to be opposed to it, PK. Brad, it's too many now. Why do they want to go to 28? Patrick, well, why not a 128-team playoff? Mark, too many. Go with the top 12. Top 4 get a first-round bye. Don, terrible idea. Makes the regular season less meaningful. Well, you like to go against the tide. Can you argue that this is a great idea? Because people seem to be lining up pretty quickly against it.
Ohio State finished 4th in the conference last year, and you're telling me the regular season is meaningful?
Yes.
I missed that. They finished 4th.
Yep.
Not 1st.
Yep.
Not 2nd.
Yep.
Not 3rd.
Nope.
4th.
Yep.
And they still won it. So, and they're playing Texas the first game. That's a meaningless game.
They can both overcome that.
Easily.
Yep.
Yeah. So what meaning is there? There might be for your school and your conference, but not for them.
Yeah, there are different sets of rules.
Yeah. And what are you trying to achieve here? The postseason, the real postseason, not the 6-6. So we're getting teams that are getting 6-6, and they're in the postseason. That's meaningful. And one of those is likely against a lower level opponent. That's meaningful. What am I missing here?
Oh, we haven't talked about the money. More games, more money.
The fans
That's
don't
it.
care about money.
Oh, I know. But the teams do. So I think that's why we're on the verge of seeing this.
I don't think the teams do. I think the administrators
The administrators over, yes, the universities care.
I mean, and then the college sports, and I've only been saying this for 30 years, is the most hypocritical institution that we have. On the third thing, on the third series, because it's not overtime, they have to go to a 2-point play because we're worried about their health. But we can add a 15th and 16th games.
And nobody says a thing. Nobody says a thing. Do you see the logic here? No, that's because there isn't any.
And every time some ex-pro player, does the worst deed possible and takes his own life because of CTE, it's big news. Well, you only get that if you play in the pros? What about all these college kids? There's got to be some that are messed up.
You would think.
We won't hear anything about it.
Nope.
But, the tragedies that befall a Junior Seau and so forth, they're huge, as they should be. And it's devastating to all involved, particularly those who are family and associates. What about the college? But we're going to add this game, this game, this game. But, in the third series of overtime, we can only go to a 2-point play because we're worried about their safety.
But who's to say that what happened to him didn't start in high school or in college? Cumulative effect.
Yeah. And so stands to reason that there'd be some for college kids, and they didn't make it to the pros, so they're not front page news splattered all over Manhattan. So you don't get that. But then we're going to do this, that. One thing that I do like is I've been on board that you play 9 games, and then you tell me the 10th game is going to determine the winner. Well, what did the 9 games do?
9-0 TCU is playing 6-3 Kansas State. Why? We already know who the champion is.
Yeah. And I've always been against that. It just doesn't make any sense to me.
That's because it doesn't make any sense.
And you're supposed to be, and the Devils won last year. Well, good for them, but it still didn't make any sense to me.
So would you feel better knowing that if it goes to 24 or 28, if there are 4 teams that tie at 7-2, you don't have to worry about tiebreakers?
You don't
They're all
change the rules per you. That's your go-to thing. Well, that's that year. So that may be 1 out of 10. So we're going to have rules this year, but then we're going to have rules that are different next year.
Yeah. Well, is Ohio State winning the title with 2 losses also 1 out of 10? Or do you think that just becomes the norm?
Yeah, but that's not a rule. They didn't change the rules there. That was a beauty contest.
Well, they changed the rules going from 4 teams to 12, and now they'd be changing them going from 12 to 24 or 28.
Okay, but that applies to everyone. And the next year, that rule doesn't change. You want to change the rules. Well, this year we'll have a playoff because there was a tie, but next year, no. These are the rules.
No, they're not. That's not why. That'll just be a happy coincidence that it would solve that issue.
But
the why,
there is no issue.
The why is more games, more money. That's the why.
Again, the fans don't care about that. I don't like the final game after I've just played 9. If there's a tie, there's a tie. And flip a coin, do a relay race, do whatever you want to settle it. I'm not going to change the rules that year just because it didn't end the way I wanted. So then but then the next 5 years it ends fine, and we don't have any rules to change it. So I don't get caught up in that stuff. That's your big deal. You always go to TCU and Kansas State, and then you go to last year with the tie. It was a tie. So be it. It's a tie. Those are the rules, and then you settle the tiebreaker. Everything needs to be determined ahead of time in August or whenever, and then you go and you do that. And if it ends up being a tie, so be it. I mean, the difference between the tie and actually playing the game, what's the difference? I don't see any difference. In a 1-game deal, anything can happen. Between 2 7-2 teams. You've got 2 good teams. It stands to reason that both teams would be able to beat each other. If the Devils played Iowa State 10 times, I doubt they're going to beat them by 30 10 times. So I can live with that. So there is something that's positive toward it. And maybe it's like, you go to buy a car and they give you a price and then you counter and then you meet somewhere. And so this Big Ten potential proposal is a starting point. It's not an ending point.
Yeah, I believe that. I think that's why they've thrown out so many things. What they want, even though the fans don't care, is more games and more money. And so far they'll say, well, what about 16? What about 24? What about 28? What about 16? But we've got triple headers on conference championship weekend instead of a single game. It's clear that everything's pointing.
What I want is a guarantee that my father's life is safe. Mike, how can I guarantee that?
The Godfather in all things.
Well, what you said, what I want, or what they want. So I think it's worth discussing. I don't give it a flat no. That was easy. I mean, you acted like I had to struggle to come up with arguments against it. No.
All right, so rank the 3 proposals you've seen so far. Which one do you feel like does the best for competition?
Oh, I think it's equal. I mean, you're looking for... I'm not a junior high principal that life is fair. There's no such definition as fair.
Right, but you find some things more interesting, and you right now have made it pretty clear multiple times you don't find conference championship weekend interesting. So maybe you like one of the proposals that eliminates that and just goes straight into a playoff. That's more interesting.
Yeah, I don't understand why you play 9 games, but somehow the 10th game counts more. Yeah. Doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, I like it. It's another game to watch. But, I mean, that was the Majerus thing. He used to harp on that year after year after year. We just played 18 conference games, and now somehow 3 more matter? It didn't make any sense. Why do we play the 18? Why not play 15, 13, 12, whatever? just get together at the end of the season and do plays. Don't play half of them, man. Just schedule around the country, whatever. So, I mean, that's one thing. What proposals are there out there?
Well, I think there are 4. There's there's 5. Stick with the 12-teamer and just do what we saw last year. There's go to 16 and have 5 conference champs and 11 at large. Then the third proposal is, well, go to 16, but 4 bids to the Big Ten and 4 to the SEC, and they'll play triple headers to decide who the conference champ is and who gets in. You know, the whole 3 versus 6, 4 versus 5 spiel, and give the Big 12 and ACC a couple bids. So that's 3 of them, and then 24 teams would be the 4th, and 28 teams would be the 5th. And I think you're right. I think the Big Ten is throwing stuff out there, trying to start the discussion, seeing what intrigues people. And if they end up deciding it's a 20-team playoff, well, that might sound weird right now, but it gets to their ultimate goal, which is play more games, make more money. They look at what's happened in the NFL playoffs. They look at what's happened in the baseball playoffs, happened to NHL and NBA a long time ago, you know. Expand the postseason and make more money off the playoffs because people will watch. So I don't know that the Big Ten's tied to any of these. They're tied to whatever makes them more money. And you're totally right about, on the one hand, they're horrified that players might play 3, 4, or 5 snaps in the third overtime. But over here...
The third series
in overtime. Over here, it's just like, well, now they're going to play 14, 15, 16 games. And what are you doing? Making more money. We don't make that much more money off the third series in overtime, but we do off these games, so.
Okay, but the kids don't have to play them.
They don't. And I guess at some point maybe we'd see some high picks opt out. I'm a little dinged up. This just isn't worth it.
All we see is affluent people who don't have their kids play football.
You don't think first-round picks will ever pass on playoff games?
I have no idea. But I'm not talking about individual games. I'm talking about the sport.
Oh, I was talking about individual games.
You don't have to play the sport.
Going to game 15, 16, 17.
Affluent people, and let's call them who they are. We know who they are. We don't want to talk about that, but we know who they are. The rest of them, they're going to play because it's a way out, and it's money. And money matters. So affluent kids, parents, you're not going to play football. You're going to play tennis. You're going to play golf. You're going to squash.
Swim.
Yeah. Other things that
baseball
are easier to do. Baseball isn't easier to do. And so the ones over here, now, of course you're playing, man. This is a way out of our situation. So they'll continue to use those kids for our entertainment purposes. Sure, but that you don't have. If you're worried about that and you find that, well, wait a second here, I don't want to be a part of that, then don't play it. No one's forcing you to do it. So, I think they need to go to some pro model. Stop with the ham and egg, the dog and pony show. It's not about academics. It's very few care about that. The fans don't care. Michigan fans couldn't care less that their team got fined, whatever. They won the national title. They jumped up and down. It meant something to them. They were better people because they were better people than you were because we won and you didn't.
There it is.
So, I mean, I had a friend of mine when the Devils came up here 2 years ago. Man, what's wrong with the program when they lost 55-3? Because he's a big Utah fan. Man, he didn't ask me last year about that. But he felt so good about himself. We beat those guys 55-3. Well, then the next year was crickets. Nothing.
Yep, there it is.
And I don't care that much. So I say, man, what's wrong with your program?
The quarterback got hurt again.
Yeah, well, they had 3 quarterbacks that played in that game. What's wrong with your program? What was the difference? The starter got hurt in the first series on the 55-3. But somehow that stuff brings you big time happiness, and I'm grateful if it does because you people have helped me make a great living and have a great job for all these years. But you get so involved in it, and away you go. Make it a pro model. Just do you're starting to do with the injury reports now.
Mm-hmm.
Slowly but surely, we're going down this road, which has already been down that road for years. Let's just do away with the nonsense of the schooling and all that. If you want to go to school, go. If you don't. You could either use the system or let the system use you. Determine what you want out of your life.
Kyle has said that's coming one day. Don't know how many days, but
it's already there. Yeah. You can't go be an engineer major. You got to do a sociology major. Yeah. It's already there.
Devon Vele.
So, that's one of a million. And I can name you others. I mean, I know personally they've told me that over the years. You got to be available when they need you available. And if coursework gets in the way,
then get another course.
Yeah. So take something easier. So it's already there, but the fans, they don't think that's true because they don't have the inside info. And then when they get it and it's faced with overwhelming evidence, then they don't care anyway, as long as the team wins. So go the pro model, set it up, have a Super Bowl, and have that structure because it sure works at the pro level. And this is a pro sport now. Every single one of them is going to get some cash if you're playing. You're going to get paid. And you've been getting paid. Now it's above board. You're going to continue to get paid. And the sport hasn't collapsed because of it. Oh, the wild, wild west.
No, people are still watching.
Don't do it then.
Yeah, people are still watching.
You don't want to be a part of it? Don't take any transfers.
What time is the game on? Where do I see it?
Yeah, but these coaches, it's the wild, wild west. And now they literally have analysts who scout the players who they think would transfer, so when the portal opens, they're ready to go in December.
Because if you're not ready to go, Junior's going to go land. He's going to play somewhere else. He's going to land somewhere else while you're still trying to figure out what the best option is and who the best player is.
Or can we poach him?
Call his high school coach.
Yeah.
I know his high school coordinator, offense, defense, whatever.
Kevin Young here in an hour and a half. Rob Wright. He was starting for Baylor, which has won national title. They got a brand new arena, and they're all that, and he goes to BYU. Sorry, Dallin. We love you. We love your church service, but you're out.
We got a better player.
If you want to play,
yeah.
You want to play the minutes you want to play, and you're a senior, bye.
Here's some coaches you can call. Good luck.
And nobody bats an eyelash.
Next.
So it's already pro. So go ahead and do it. Set it up ahead of time and just make it a pro model. And whatever you come up with, it's a little harder because there's way more participants than, what was used to be 16, 20, 24, 28, blah, blah, blah. But the pros have adjusted as they've added franchises. Right? And what's his face? What's the commissioner of baseball? Manfred. He was on last night. At the Little League thing, talking about they're going to realign, they're going to expand, and they're going to realign. And the Yankees are not going out to Dodger Stadium to play an 11 o'clock p.m. start. It's not going to happen. They're losing money. And the Dodgers are not going to go to New York and play a 4 p.m. start. It's not going to happen. You're losing money.
4:35 starts.
Yeah.
Everybody's stuck on a freeway. Nobody's home.
Yeah. Right. And they'll add, and it'll go on, and the revenue keeps going and going and going.
But maybe
fine.
the Dodgers will play the Giants more and they'll play the Angels more, and that'll be just fine because people like to go to those games and watch those teams.
Yeah, and they're more time accommodating.
Right. Yeah, and then whether you're home or away, the game starts at 7:30.
Right.
As opposed to 4:30 and 10:30, which doesn't fit most people's schedule.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I was thinking of these Little League kids last night. It's like 10:45. They're sitting there at the stadium because they start the game so late back there, and they got to do it for TV and all that stuff. So I think the colleges should just throw up their hands and say we're professional sports, particularly football and even basketball. We're professional sports just as much as the NFL is. And what they ought to do then is see, I wonder how much they can, encroach upon the NFL's sacred times. Like the NFL said, move aside, NBA.
Yep.
We're slapping you down.
Yep. And I think they expanded the playoffs because they saw where college football was going and said, well, we're taking these time slots.
So should college now go for a 2:30 Thanksgiving kickoff? Should it go for Christmas Day?
More people will watch the NFL. But I think that as much as the
depends
NFL...
on who you put out there.
I think as much as the NFL has gone to Christmas Day and gotten a lot of people to watch. I mean, it was clearly a
Only 1 year, right?
great decision. But people still watch the NBA. It's not like they
but
couldn't
you're trying
find
to
viewers.
grab the most money.
You are.
No one's
But I think
doubting.
at this point,
the NBA is not going to draw 0.0.
At this point, to get the most money, maybe they should just go ahead and go head-to-head and figure we're here for whoever likes us. They're here for whoever likes them. More people are going to like them, but we're still going to make a pile of cash. They've tried the weeknight games, play on a Friday night. I mean,
Who's
as big
they?
as the college football.
Yeah. When's the last time Ohio State played a Friday night?
In the playoffs. In the playoffs, they played Friday
okay.
nights. Yeah, well, I think where do you put all these playoff games? You're going to have to go head-to-head.
Wherever you want.
Right, but you're going to have to go head-to-head with the NFL, I think.
Wherever you want.
I don't know that doubleheaders Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday when you're playing 8 games in the first round.
Yeah, that's where it gets cumbersome.
I think it's part of the
because
reason they want to get rid of the
numbers.
conference championship is they still have Saturday to themselves those first couple of weeks
Sure.
in December. But you
Yeah.
get to mid-December, and then the NFL is going to play, as they always have, as the law was written a long time ago.
It's a law?
Yeah.
The president signed the law?
Yes.
Oh, I'll be gall darn. I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
it was like 1960 or 61 or somewhere in there. It's an antitrust thing that allows the NFL to put all 32 teams into one TV package.
I'm a sports fan. I'm not a lawyer.
And as part of that, they gave up the right to play on Saturdays during the college football season.
Well, get it back.
Well, they don't want to have to give up that antitrust thing.
I don't even know what that phrase means.
DJ PK, it's 97.5, The Zone. Coming up, Kevin Graham, top of the hour. We'll see if he likes any of these playoffs.
We got to change on our schedule. Kevin Graham's still at 8 o'clock.
Oh, okay.
Kevin Young is moving back in the 9 o'clock hour. Looks like 9:30, 9:40, somewhere in there.
Okay. Thank you for the update. DJ and PK, it's 97.5, The Zone.
You patiently waited and waited and waited. And now it's here. It's college football season. As the Cougars, Utes, and Aggies get ready for the upcoming season, nobody will bring you better coverage of the teams you can't live without than the KSL Sports Zone. With daily updates from camps and interviews with all the coaches and players, your home for the best coverage of college football is on air, online, and on the KSL Sports app. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
The band of the day today is Audio Slave. It's brought to you by Live Nation. For all the live concerts and events in 2025, check out livenation.com. It's game week, PK. Not for everybody, but for 10 teams. 5 games. Saturday, week 0. Why aren't there more games? This makes no sense to me. They've let a bunch of other rules go. Why not this one? TV networks that pay for it. All those schools want more money. The fans want to watch games. What are we doing here? But in any case, we wake up Saturday morning at 10 a.m. Iowa State plays Kansas State. 2 ranked Big 12 teams on ESPN at 10 a.m. Who's ready? Show of hands.
I believe that's the only game of the weekend I will watch start to finish.
Idaho State, UNLV, not your thing, huh?
Not saying I'm not going to watch, but I'm talking start to finish.
Fresno State at Kansas.
And I very rarely watch games start to finish.
Because there's so many games on, and you're always flipping to something else.
Yeah.
Commercial break, halftime.
At a stadium.
Yep.
But this one is uninterrupted. This is like a Sunday night NFL game.
Nothing up against it. All the other
Monday
games
night.
are later.
Yeah. I got to like the game, and I will like the game. So I'm going to watch this uninterrupted. I mean, out of boredom, I may flick around in a commercial or two, but that's only because I'm a male and I have a remote, and it's required of me.
By law.
DNA.
Did the president sign something?
Yes. It's anti-commercial
I don't give a crap about that product.
The other two games that could be intriguing, Fresno State at Kansas and Stanford at Hawaii, kick off 1 hour apart, 4:30 and 5:30. So that'll be a perfect chance to channel surf between two games. But you're right, Iowa State, K-State, 10 a.m. on a Saturday is not going to be much else on.
Yes.
A little early to get hooked on the PGA Tour at that point.
And I am extremely interested in this game to see how these teams look. I won't draw season-long conclusions. That won't matter. But it'll give me a better feel for what's going on with these teams and who has a one-game-up lead and who doesn't. The loser certainly can come back and all that stuff and do whatever it needs to do to get, I don't want to say get back in the race because that's ridiculous. But nevertheless, man, I think it's a great game. I think it's a great opportunity to showcase the Big 12. I mean, to me, this is stuff that matters. Not having a practice at Rucker Park. And I think BYU is going to go down and play a baseball game in Mexico. I don't know if they've announced it yet. And that's all cool and that's fun and all. That's great. But here, this stuff matters in terms of getting your product out there at a time when college football fans are starved for real sport. You know, you spent a good portion there running down a bunch of stats on a meaningless preseason game of locals. So now, if people are interested in that, and I have no idea what their ratings are for that stuff, nor do I care. I'm sure you do, and you will tell us. But this is something that matters. And playing it in Ireland, I don't know that you're ever going to grow the sport to the level that you want in Ireland, but who cares? Plus, it's a phenomenal educational experience for the young people.
Get to go to a foreign country.
For free.
Yep. See something different.
Yeah.
Go somewhere different.
Right. How do you put a price tag on that? To be able to experience that, you know, if they're not already there, they probably are leaving the next day or two, and you can only practice for so long.
I assume it's like a bowl game and they have something set up, whatever the local history attraction is. They do something. They have some events.
Let's say it's a little more minor than that because this is more serious than a bowl game. But for those kids and the travel parties, they get an opportunity to do that. Yeah, that's awesome, man. That's great. And so that it's a lot of fun. And then it's real football, and it's the Big 12, to quote Dan Hawkins. And it's your teams now. I get it, Utah, you still have Pac-12 hangover, and you want it back, and it's not coming back. I understand that. Believe me, whatever you feel, I would feel 1,000 times more. But this is the conference that you're in now, and you got to adjust to it. And these are your teams. You'd much rather have it be the other teams. I understand that, but fools let it get away. So now you got this one. And this is a great opportunity to showcase the league, see what's available. Even if you don't play these teams, wherever your fan base is in the conference, you might see them in Arlington. I mean, we've been talking about it all summer. There's 6, 7, 8 teams that we could see if the ball bounces their way and they stay healthy, or the ball doesn't bounce somebody else's way and somebody has a key injury. You could be there. It's not the same 3 or 4 teams that you can point to in the Big Ten and the SEC year after year after year after year. This is only 1 year, but we couldn't. There's no one. It would have been somebody in some European country who doesn't follow it who did a preseason. Oh, I'll pick those 2 teams. I like their colors. I mean, if you followed football to any degree, there's no way you could have predicted that those 2 teams that met in Arlington would have been those teams. Maybe one of them you could have predicted, but not the other guy. And so you look at it from that perspective, yeah, even with a freshman starting here for BYU and a newcomer starting for Utah at quarterback, I think they both have a shot. So you could end up playing these teams. Plus, it's on so early in the morning, maybe your day hasn't gotten going yet.
Well, it's a chance to scout out because you are going to play these teams. Neither Utah or BYU play them both, but they each play one.
Yeah, I'm just speaking from the conference perspective. Right. This is the 2 seasons that I look forward to the most starting are college football and MLB. The others, in my mind, fly under the radar relative to how pumped I get for these two.
Yeah, I think the only other thing people would throw out there, because there is a magic to those, so a lot of people would say what you said. I mean, there are definitely people who look forward to the start of the NFL, and the PGA Tour going to Maui seems to have some magic.
Yeah, but that's not the start of anything. That's a continuation.
They just play all year round. They don't go away for that long.
They do the thing earlier in the year, and then they take off, and then they come back. So, and I think if the NFL went first, it would probably be the NFL. But because it doesn't, college goes first. And because I grew up in a good portion of my life where there was no NFL, they shoved college in your face all the time because that's all they had. Now it's different now in the Valley, obviously, with the NFL team. In fact, it's the other way around. They shove the NFL in your face all the time, whether you want it or not. And the college is buried. Dillingham's trying to change that, and he could probably change it to a good degree if you run off a slew of 9, 10, 11-win seasons. But it'll still always be second fiddle because if the Cardinals got to where they had under Kurt Warner and what's-his-face Arians, well, then they'll be right back on top. And then occasionally when the Diamondbacks in September are in playoff contention, that takes away too. Because everybody, it doesn't matter what sport, everybody loves a winner, and you want to be associated with that because it's fun. Yeah, I understand that. I think if the NFL went first, you would have that a little bit more buzz, but they don't. So it's a good 2 weeks before the NFL starts now, just a little bit under, right?
Yeah, you get depending on the team. Most teams get one college game in, but there's some who get to play twice before. Week 0 and week 1 happen before the NFL kicks off.
Right. Yeah.
And then, I mean, I guess some teams play on this, ASU might play 2 games because they play on Saturday, before the Cardinals play 1 game.
Yeah.
But the NFL's playing on Thursday and Friday night now, so.
Right. So those are my 2 sports, and living in the colder weather now, it just signals spring is on the way, good weather's on the way. The earth is renewing, all that stuff that we've seen, all that charm in baseball movies. Dad, you want to have a catch? There's no scene in a sports movie that doesn't involve death that elicits more emotion than Dad, you want to have a catch. Go ahead, run through it. I know you are.
That's what this commercial break is for. When we come back, Kevin Graham, longtime sports radio host and program director, joins us next to both savor the start of football and complain about something. Probably that 2018 playoff idea from the Big Ten. We'll talk with Kevin Graham next. Stay with us. Don't miss your chance to win big every week on The Zone. This week on Win Ticket Wednesday. Win tickets to see County Crows August 21st at the Utah First Credit Union Amphitheater. Don't miss County Crows, a complete suites tour with special guest, the Gaslight Anthem. Get tickets now at LiveNation.com. Listen to The Zone all day Wednesday for your chance to win. DJ PK, and we're joined now by Kevin Graham, longtime sports radio host here in Utah. Kevin, good morning.
Good morning, gentlemen. Happy Monday. How are you guys doing today? Is everything all right? Are you two getting along? What's going on?
It's all good, Kevin.
He wears on me.
We are so happy to be talking to you.
I know. I just love when DJ makes the show political, throwing out like a 1960s president signing to allow the NFL to play football on Saturday. Like, I mean, I'm listening to this past hour. I'm like, what? DJ, how you even know that? I don't even know. But like, I just
bless his
like
heart.
Really? That's why the NFL plays on Saturday late in the season. That I never knew that. Things you learn on this program.
That is why.
So.
That actually is why. And I threw it out there. I believe it was like, did the president sign something? I'm like, well, yes. The answer to that is yes.
People were wondering. You act like it was an absurd question.
It was.
You said it was a law.
We've covered it before.
Who the hell signed the law? That's a basic question.
Thought you went to Arizona State.
Yeah, and
Walter
I studied.
Cronkite is spinning
and what
in his
happened
grave.
in 61 sure is relevant to today. Give me a 20-minute soccer update. Ready, go, like you did earlier.
It is relevant.
Well, what's funny is PK just being all sarcastic, thinking that wasn't even true, and then there's, well, yeah, it was.
It's a law. That's the logical. I asked the logical questions. I ain't softball TV city over here.
You asked a logical question. I gave you a logical answer.
Then why'd you make it sound so absurd? When your impression wasn't, he asked, did the president sign it? Did the president sign it? I think that was a loaded impression. You're guilty. Ha, ha, ha. Even you can't wiggle out of this one this time.
Yeah, he does. He does wear on me, just in case you wonder, Kevin. Yes, he does.
Yeah, no, I understand. But you know what, though? But keep the political theme you've started, DJ. College football and sports in general, I mean, the reason college football is so messed up is there's not a central organizing company, if that makes sense.
It's central organizing company.
Or a commissioner.
Like NFL. NFL has a company. Yes, you have all these owners, and they're all separate owners, but they still answer to the NFL, and the NFL negotiates on behalf of all the teams. It's all together in one. Yeah. It's sports communism, sports socialism, but they're all thriving because they're making all the money.
Was in the beginning?
No.
Right. So college football is slowly, glacially paced, moving that direction.
I don't want to bring it to you, but
they're not.
The pros
They're not. It's capitalism.
It's
not. It's SEC thinks they want all the money, so they're going to do that. They're going out negotiating on their behalf. Big Ten's floating these stupid 24-team ideas out there because they want the power and they want the money. Everybody's their own company, and you have no centralized. NCAA is a joke. I mean, as a Michigan fan, because, I paid thousands of dollars for one of my daughters to go to Michigan. We're laughing at the NCAA, like $20 million. You have no. I'm Michigan. I'll even pay the NCAA. What are they going to do? Suspend you? They have no power.
You want it to be like the pros. What do they do in the pros? Do they take away the Super Bowl? Do they take away scholarships? They fine them. And now the NCAA does something that the almighty pro does, and you call it a joke. Well, it's the same. That's all they can do.
They don't have any power. They have no power.
And how does Goodell have any power if they fine somebody? The NCAA did exactly what Goodell would do in the situation of breaking the law or the NFL laws. You fine somebody. That's my point. It's going that way. In another 25, 35, 55 years, if man is still alive, this is what it'll end up. And we'll look back and say, yeah, it's exactly like the pros, or it's 95% closer to the pros than it is now. It's just everything is new. We've only been paying these players legally for like 2 years. You got to give it some opportunity to get to that point because it's going to that point. Just have some vision, my friend.
I know. I agree. And I'm not arguing against you because I totally 100% agree with you, PK.
Welcome to my world.
It should be that. But the NCAA, the have more power than the NCAA. They're all their separate entity. They need to come together as one, but they're not going to do it. I mean, if they would come together as one, could you imagine the amount of money? I mean, they're all making money now anyways, but if they were smart, you come together as one, now you negotiate as one to all these different TV networks and all these streaming services. The exact same thing the NFL is doing.
Great.
And you will reap so much money, but it's equal.
And there'll be so many casualties employment-wise along the way because then you wouldn't have these need for commissioners, and they're making millions, so they're going to give up their millions. And once you start encroaching upon a man's money, it's every man for himself.
I agree. And that's what it is right now in college football. It's every man for themselves. And that's why we get these stupid proposals. This is why, like you were talking about, DJ, why do we have week 0 and only 5 teams playing? Like, why don't they just let all the teams play starting now in week 0? Or how about let's call it week 1 and start a week early. And then that way you could start. I mean, it's just dumb. Like, in college sports
Go
this
ahead
way.
And schedule the games.
What
are they going to do? They're going to have the National Guard. They're already busy in D.C. They can't go over there and start down the road in Virginia if they want to play games there. What are they going to do? They're going to lock the gates? Have armed guards? You can't play? Go ahead and do it. Play.
I mean, they already got police on the field with the coaches in college football for whatever stupid reason. Like, I don't know. I mean, like, the whole thing is corrupt. It's not going to change because everybody's out for themselves, and the NCAA has no power, so it doesn't matter. Like, so I mean, I mean, heck, they're eating their own. In ACC, you had Clemson and Florida State suing their other schools because they're like, we're better than the other schools. We deserve more money than you. So then they have to pay them more money to stay in the ACC. I mean, they're eating their own. Everything you just said, PK, is true, but it's not going to change. Nothing is going to change because there's no power.
I think it'll change over time. It's just going to be slow because so many people, no one wants to give up power. Once you've acquired power, you don't want to give it up.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And they're not going to do it because you're right. It's CYA, man. Everyone's covering their own rear ends. They don't want to lose their money. That's the way it's going to be. So, hey, you know what? Starting on Saturday, for whatever stupid college football tradition, we're going to have a game and week 0, and we're all going to be happy because football is going to be on the field.
True.
They're just copying the NFL. Yeah, they're just copying the NFL. There was a loophole. They said, well, you could play if you have to go outside the continental U.S. because these teams have to go to Hawaii. And somebody said, why don't we go play in Ireland like the NFL? Mm-hmm. And here we are.
Well, come in Utah.
Exactly.
Most people don't think that we're part of the U.S.
Oh, you just said BYU was going to play baseball in Mexico. You
Well,
could move a
if I
football game to
remember
Mexico or
correctly,
Canada.
didn't the U.S. Army were going to like blow up Utah at one point or something
come
back
here
in the
and play.
day? I
We
mean,
got 2 beautiful stadiums.
all because DJ brought the president into play about an hour ago. I don't know.
I couldn't even tell you who the president was then, let alone
I don't
any
either.
rule that they did.
Eisenhower? Who was the 1960s president? This would be really bad. This is where my
After
public
they forced
education.
Nixon out of office, I gave up on it.
This would have been before they
DJ,
forced
who was
Nixon out.
president? 19 whatever.
Well, it depends if it was signed in 60 or 61. I think it was 61. Which
Nerd.
So it would have been JFK.
And he thinks
Okay,
this
JFK
nerd
was
stuff is
president.
charming, not obnoxious.
Well, he asked me a question, so I gave him an answer. He's a guest.
Well, good. Well, this was fun. Great to talk to you guys. All right.
Which of the 5 playoff proposals are you picking? Stay at 12, go to 16 with only 5 conference champs, and then the committee picks the other 11. Go to 16 and do the Big Ten thing with 3rd place playing 6th place to get in. Go to 24, go to 28. What do you want?
16 is fine by me, but I want the little guy to still be involved. I want the the other 5. They better get a guaranteed bid in there. But it doesn't. Whatever the Big Ten and SEC want is what's going to happen. They're the ones controlling college football, and they're going to want whatever proposal is going to get more of their teams in. So, 24 and 28 is ridiculous. You can't do that. I mean, again, there is already old school that regular season games should mean something. Conference titles should mean a little bit. So, I mean, keep it at 12 or 16. I'm kind of curious to see how it's going to work this year now where they did the seeding and they changed the seeds. So now legitimately you can argue the top 4 teams will get the bye. So I'm curious to see how that plays out this year. And then if it's still kind of messed up, then, I'd consider going to 16 just to let 4 more teams in. I mean, why not? I don't think that's big of a deal. But anything beyond that, man, is stupid. Just for college football, there's no need to do that. Reality is what they probably, we've talked about this before, and Utah and BYU fans won't like to hear this being in the Big 12, but really they should just go in tiers. They just should do it like high school football, man. Let the SEC and Big 10 battle out for their national championship. Let the Big 12, ACC, maybe throw another conference or 2 in there. Let them battle for a championship. Let the little 5, let them go and do their own championship. And then that way we have a bunch of winners and everybody will be happy. Everyone will make money and we'll just move along.
That's a stupid idea.
Well, that's another direction it's going to go, PK, because, again, there's no central force to coordinate anything. And the Big Ten and the SEC, they're the ones controlling. You have the ones controlling college football right now. So they're making any move they make is going to benefit those 2. I mean, sure, let's go to 24, 28 teams, and we're each going to have 7 teams in. Oh, and hey, little Big 12 and ACC, we'll give you 5 each.
And what's the difference, though? They already got 4. Ohio State finished 4th in the conference and got in.
Yep.
So it's already happening. I think you're leaving out a critical component of decision-making, and I think it's the executives in television.
Well, yeah, no doubt. No, ESPN is yes, because they're the ones that are funding it all. They have the money. So you're right. They are dictating a lot of what is going on, or at least those ideas are being floated to ESPN, and they're saying, well, yeah, we'll give you a few more billion if you do this. No, we're not going to pay a few more billion for this. So, yeah, you are right on that. Yes.
NFL preseason football is happening. Have you seen anything that you think is real? Any of these young quarterbacks that everybody's talking about, you think they're real, or you can't tell because it's preseason football, and get back to me in September when the real games start?
I will say no. I mean, you got to wait till the real games start. I think the preseason's a joke in that regard. But I did watch my Jets lose to the Giants, and what is it? I think he didn't go Corner Canyon, and then where Jackson Dart went. He looked really good. Like he against the Jets' second and third stringers. Like not just how he was throwing the ball was good, but you just see his leadership. You could just see that the players were motivated to play with him. So I actually was impressed sucks. I mean, he's just past his prime, and so Dart will end up being the starting quarterback with the Giants at some point. They're going to start Russell Wilson because the coach is on the hot seat, and he's got to do everything he can to try to save his job. But when it's all over, Dart will be playing. I mean, Zach Wilson played well. That's great. I mean, more likely he is going to play this year because, unfortunately Tua just gets hurt every year and gets a concussion every year. So him actually performing well, I thought was at least good for him. McDaniel actually, as much as he's going to get fired after this year, I mean, he is an offensive guru, and maybe, with Wilson finally, playing under Peyton last year and now playing under McDaniel, maybe he'll get his game right a little bit. So, we'll see on that. But otherwise, I mean, Caleb Williams played well last night against the Bills. Bills were awful. Bills did not play, I don't think, starters. So, again, I don't know how much you can, read in that. I mean, other than that, I mean, there's nothing really that you can get out of it more so than, if you're a real geek and you really are digging in because you want to know who's going to make the roster at number 52 or number 53 in the roster and play on special teams, then, yeah, maybe you're into this. But I mean, let's face it, after the first quarter, the game doesn't matter usually the rest of the way. And in the case of last night's game, like I said, the Bills didn't even play any of their starters, so the game didn't matter at all. I mean, again, you want to talk about stupidity, like the preseason is dumb. I mean, it really, they do it again for money and everything else, but I foresee that we'll go down to 2 games in the preseason at some point, and they'll probably add another regular season game so we can get up to 18 regular season games. And I'm not opposed to that. The more NFL, the better. The more games that count, the better for me.
Right. That's why the NFL is a mess. There's no leadership. College doesn't have that. They just go right into the season. They don't mess around with this nonsense that the fans don't care about. They've got it right.
The whole first hour ripping college, and now you're defending college. It's amazing to me.
You spent the whole first half of the segment praising the NFL. Now you're ripping it.
Well, because they're playing preseason games that don't matter. Again, it's common sense, but the NFL can do whatever they want. I mean, that's how they rule the world when it comes to sports. You're sitting there talking about, that's meaningful to me. Like, dude, no, it's not. Football, NFL, college, those are the 2 things that mean the most. NFL knows what they're doing. College is eating themselves up and eating their own. That's the summation. But again, end game is when they get on the field, it's awesome. Hell, I was on a freaking preseason game the Jets. Why did I do that? Because you know what? Maybe, I don't know, because I'm a dumb fan, and I thought, yeah, maybe the Jets will win a preseason game with a bunch of backup players. And guess what happened? As usually happens in my case, I lost my $10. So I don't know. It's fun, all right? It's not rational.
I hesitate to bring this up, but I think it has to be said, so I'm going to go ahead and do it even if I get roasted for it. I heard the president signed a law in the 90s that you had to move every 18 months, and I heard you've moved again to comply with the law. Is that true?
I did. I'm in Charlotte now.
You're in
I'm
Charlotte?
in the East Coast.
Okay.
I am in the Charlotte area. My parents live here. They retired here 17 years ago. They're older. They both have some health issues. I was getting tired of paying taxes in California, and I'm tired, semi-employed, whatever way you want to put it. So you know what? I'll go to Charlotte and I'll hang on the East Coast, and I'm glad I did because I don't know if you guys' parents are still around or whatnot, but they're older, they got some heart issues, so I'm helping them out, and so now I'm here. Here I am, living in my parents' basement.
Okay, well that is noble, helping your parents out and taking care of family. Good for you there. Yeah. Because you're in Charlotte now, I'm wondering what's the coverage like of Bill Belichick? How's that going? How do you think it's going to go? Because we're all, even if we're not way into it, and we're not because we're on this side of the country, we're going to glance at it once in a while because he's Bill Belichick.
Oh, yeah. No, it's interesting because it's kind of like what PK was saying about what's happened to Arizona, what happened to the Phoenix area. This is a very big college area, obviously, being now ACC, more college basketball than college football. But the Carolina Panthers are really dominating most of the coverage in the Charlotte area. They are now kind of the team that's focused on. But with that said, there are a lot of UNC fans, Duke fans as well here. And I think everybody's optimistic to see what happens on the field. But Belichick's being Belichick. Did you guys read that part? Like, he's not even going to do the the Bill Belichick show. How every college coach has their own college, show. He's refusing to do that. Mike Lombardi, who's a general manager, because now college teams have general managers, he's going to do it. Belichick's going to show up on his first show. So, obviously most of the coverage has been about his 24-year-old girlfriend and all the things she's been doing. But I think once the games start and see what he's actually putting out on the field, I think then that'll be interesting to see how people react here. But, they sold out the stadium. I thought about it. I'm like, man, I should go to Chapel Hill. I'd love to go see a game up there. And, you can't get a ticket. And Mark didn't pay a lot of money. So we'll see if that continues, if they win. But I don't know. I think there's a lot of people that the one thing I have noticed, I think a lot of people think he's not there for the long term. Whether it doesn't work and they fire him quickly because I think they have a friendly buyout, or if he's just using this to try to get an NFL job again. So, but I think we got to wait for they hit the field and see what he's putting out there. He's a great coach, we know that, but I don't know, man. I'm a little skeptical of how he's going to translate to college football, but we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, Pete Carroll struck gold there with the NFL to college. But he's much younger. I don't know.
And look at his personality, PK. He was a raw type. Fit college. To be able to motivate kids. Sure. Belichick. Yeah, Belichick's not that, obviously. So.
Yeah, but I don't think he can be in there for the long term just by nature of his age. How old is he? He's 72, 73.
73, yeah. Yeah, no, I don't know. Yeah. But he's 73 and he's got a 24-year-old girlfriend. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what that says.
Now, do you find that admirable or do you find that disgusting?
I will say he has a lot of money, so I think there's a reason maybe that he.
Well, there's
that he
a will, there's a
way. As a single divorced human, I'm not going to comment on that. I just, it's just a little,
Keeping your options open, Kevin. You got to keep your options open.
As I just recently stated, I may not have the money Bill Belichick has. So, yeah, so no. Man, this is going to be a fun year. I can't wait for Mondays.
All right.
Hey, the lottery's legal in North Carolina. You never know. You never know.
All right, no comment.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
Is that it? We can end on that.
Should we leave it right there, Kevin? Let you regroup?
I think we should.
If your parents are into this conversation, you're going to be grounded.
You guys stop.
Okay.
This is my life, man. I sometimes wonder what happened to my life. I wonder if I would have just stayed in Salt Lake, what would have happened? So let me ponder that for a while.
All right. Ponder that. We appreciate having you on.
Great. Thanks, gentlemen.
We will talk to you next week. All right. Thanks, Kevin.
I cannot wait. Goodbye.
All right. DJ and PK, it's 97.5 The Zone. We're about an hour away from Kevin Young, BYU men's basketball coach, sliding back a little bit in the 9 o'clock hour, but he'll join us later in the show right here on The Zone. DJ and PK, it's 97.5 The Zone. Stay with us.
This is Jake Scott and Ben Anderson.
We've talked about it. The older player is the safer player to pick for a variety of reasons, and that's usually what we see, actually. The freshman getting the nod is what you saw with Johnny Manziel and like nobody else. Coach has to manage a locker room, too, and empowering a freshman is most times not all that healthy.
It's like managing your kids. You have an older kid and a younger kid.
Yep.
If they're both doing something and it's kind of equal footing, you're going to let them take turns, but you might just let the older one go first just to keep the house fine. Just to make sure there's not a freak out while you're at the park. Make sure while you're on the jungle gym, everyone stays cool.
Or when they know that dad goes, out who's in charge.
I'm going to be gone for a few weeks. 10-year-old,
you're in charge.
You're the boss. 6-year-old, listen to everything she says.
Hear Jake Scott and Ben Anderson every day from 10 to noon on 97.5 The KSL Sports Zone.
How about a window into the future? Expansion, realignment, expanded playoffs. Can you see that down the road?
I can. I think the first two topics are related in my mind. I think if we expand, it provides us with an opportunity to geographically realign. I think we could save a lot of wear and tear on our players in terms of travel. And I think our postseason format would be even more appealing for, entities like ESPN, because you'd be playing up out of the East, out of the West, and that 10 o'clock time slot where we, sometimes get Boston, Anaheim, would be two West Coast teams, and that 10 o'clock slot that's a problem for us sometimes becomes a real opportunity for our West Coast audience. So I think, I think the owners realize that there's demand for Major League Baseball in a lot of great cities, and that we have an opportunity to do something good around that expansion process.
There's the commissioner of Major League Baseball talking about expansion. PK.
I need a drink of water, man. I'm salivating.
Right? Let's go. Let's go right now.
Yeah, it's right there for the taking, man.
It matches up. Everything he just said matches up with what he said before and matches up with what we've been told by people here who would either be associated with, our local government bodies or the team.
About
the Miller family.
The government this morning.
The governor has talked about this.
The gov, obviously, he
is
or
convinced.
Future governors would want it.
And he is convinced it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Not his decision to make, obviously, but he's just convinced it's coming.
There has got to be a complete and total all-in by all in the community, because this is a game changer for the community. And if it doesn't happen now being when it does happen, not literally right now, I don't know that it will happen. So they have got to put all their chips out on the table to present that Salt Lake and the entire Wasatch Front is the place to be. You've got all this stuff with you can point to with it growing and all this. The same thing that a lot of folks, people don't know this necessarily, before the Big 12 was considering expansion the first time around and BYU was on board. I mean, they were the same people from the Miller family were involved in making the pitch for BYU to get into the Big 12. And that type of community, what am I looking for, rallying to have everybody involved in this and make your literal best pitch possible that you can make, because it would just be something that would be so awesome for the community. Absolutely. I think it would be better than hockey. I think it'd be better than basketball, and they're already here, so you don't have to worry about that. They're not going anywhere, but I think because obviously it fills a spot in the calendar that we don't have to that level, and the stuff that you can build around it too with the entertainment districts that they have, I think it would literally be a game changer for this community. And I got to believe it's going to happen because the Millers have a decades-long history of already doing this.
They know how this works. Yes. How do you run a team? Check. How do you build a facility? Check. How do you build a relationship with the commissioner? Check.
I mean, I realize Larry's gone, but his wife and others have hired people that they ran that, and now they're over there doing RSL. You talk to the RSL people, and they're totally jacked about it, and I believe we'll see good things coming from them in the future, and they'll be more competitive consistently, and they won't have a teardown, and they'll be able to be a real force in this league. And I see that, man, this is just something that, as I look at the other candidates out there, they're all worthy, but so is ours, man. And we've got a 40-plus year history of people knowing what they're doing. And they're in the community. They're literally born and raised in this community. They're not coming from some other place. They know everything about it. So it'll just be such a natural.
See, I think it's going to happen. The only part I disagree with everything you said, there's a lot of truth in there. But the now or never. Now for expansion, I'll say never for expansion, but the thing is, if they miss out on expansion, which I don't think they're going to, I think they're going to get an expansion team. So I think this is a moot point. But just for argument's sake, for whatever reason, maybe expansion doesn't happen. Or maybe for some reason somehow goes to two other cities, which I don't foresee. But just for argument's sake, I still think because there's such alignment here on building a stadium, they'll get a team.
Yeah, but I don't even want to entertain that thought.
I get
because
it.
that opens up the possibility of it not happening.
And not only that, it could be instead of 5 years now, maybe it's 10 or 15 or 20, and you don't want to wait. I get it. I totally agree. But I think it's coming because right now, it's the commissioner said we can't expand until the Oakland and Tampa Bay situations with the stadium are solved. And Oakland's going to Vegas, so that's solved. Tampa's got a new owner. Presumably that'll be solved here. But behind them are Arizona and Kansas City. And what's going to happen there?
Arizona, the governor just approved stuff, so they're okay. They're going to get all their...
They're going to get the stadium?
They're not going to get a stadium. They're going to get the improvements that they're looking for.
Oh, improvements on the current facility.
Yeah, so
there'll always be another one. At some point, somebody won't get it.
Yeah, but no.
I know. That's 15 or 20 years away. You don't want to do that?
That opens the door. It's now or never. Everybody has to be on board that it's absolutely now. This must be done now.
I also think that the expansion is preferable to a team moving, and I think now is preferable to 10, 20 years down the line. So everyone should be on board for this, and I think everyone is on board, and I think it's going to happen.
Yeah, I don't want somebody else's team.
I agree. I'd much rather have an expansion team. Yeah. Much rather.
You could say hockey, well, they weren't Phoenix's team. So what's the difference? You start moving around 3 and 4 times.
Because they've been in Winnipeg.
Are you anybody's team? And that's a different situation. It was a mess there. They've sucked for a long time down there. They screwed it up. That's different. Kansas City, no. There was a time Kansas City was a great franchise.
Yeah, I don't want to see the Royals move.
Right.
I'm with you 100%.
And so
Nor do I really want the Diamondbacks to move. I mean, it's been more than a generation now.
Anybody can agree. Most folks would agree. Let them stay there. Get that ding. Yep. You have that attachment to the community, blah, 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 blah. Now do this one. This has to be viewed as this is our shot. We're not, something else. Because the fact is, 15, 20 years, so many of the people who are involved in this is our shot now, they're going to be dead.
Yeah.
So you won't even see it.
Times change. Stuff changes. You never know. Yeah. I mean, you talked about, Larry and all that. I mean, Steve Starks interned under Larry. Literally sat in the office with a yellow notepad and wrote down everything. You know? And Greg Miller talks about the same thing the last year of his dad's life, taking notes. He said it was like going to school or going to grad school, and that he would go back later and look at the notes and just think, man, that was really on point. That was great advice. It's tremendous. So all that's in place right now.
Right. Use it now by the very people who have their faculties now.
And the commissioner,
not another generation.
Yeah. And the commissioner, correctly identifies that with 162 games, you can make, depending on how they set up the schedule, you can make 30 or 40 of those games much more valuable for every club. It's literally a win for every club. And the players are going to sign off on it because less travel is going to be good for them.
Oh, they were talking about that.
They're not loving cross-country flights.
They were talking about that last night. I got home a little later, and I did watch a few just to see what it's about because I played in that Williamsport thing, not in the World Series, but out the field. They had some tournaments up there, and I got invited, blah, blah, blah. And so it's always been a little special to me. So I'm watching that thing, and Perez is talking about the difficulty of the travel for Seattle, that it's so far away from
everywhere.
Yeah.
And when it comes to the expansion process, you think Seattle's excited to have a major league team in Portland or Vancouver? No chance.
It's too close.
It's way too close. They're drawing fans from Portland and Vancouver. They'd much rather see a team in Salt Lake. And they'd much rather be flying to Salt Lake and Denver as most of their longest trips, as opposed to going to New York or Atlanta or Miami diagonally across the continent. No thanks.
Right. So that makes sense to me. Go ahead and do that. Times change, and if you come up with a better deal, I don't think it really takes away from the playoff system. I was a long-time resistor on interleague play. Well, no, this is separate.
But it's been fun.
I got over that.
Yeah.
I got over that in a hurry. And it took me longer to get over the DH, but I'm over it.
I know.
I got over it. I thought,
and I don't like
way.
It. I know.
I had extensive conversations with Klauke over the years. We were two baseball guys. I miss texting him about stuff that's going on in baseball now because we did it. We see ball games together. I saw ball games with him in Arizona and so forth. And he's obviously a baseball guy. And we would talk about it. And I believe he was a proponent of it. And it took me a while. I'm thinking, boy, that was stupid. I should have been on board with that a lot earlier. And here I can see easily being on board with if you don't have to travel back there or whatever, or maybe they could do something, like the Field of Dreams location where you can meet in the middle, so to speak, and you can play games there and whatnot. There's all sorts of stuff that you can do to get around it, but this opportunity to make it more centralized and more localized for your television contracts and all. And yeah, this is all in. And when I read that, because I didn't hear what he said, but I read it, I thought it's got to be here. Nightingale was a baseball columnist for USA Today. I don't know him personally, but I have good friends who know him, and he's been a baseball guy for many, many years. He keeps saying Salt Lake and Nashville, and I'm thinking, man, yes, absolutely. Make it happen and go in everything, everybody, the political leaders, the community, the ownership, whomever you can get involved in it. And I think it would take off. You think it would take off?
As long as the team is good and they don't have the issues getting pitchers that Colorado has had. And maybe that has more to do with Colorado's organization than it does to do with the altitude. But as long as that's in place, then summer nights here are awesome.
Well, yeah,
ballpark will be packed.
You sign people, Chris Bryant, and he doesn't play, and I mean they just made terrible moves left and right. So that's their situation here, and I think that's when you can go back and you can look at the Millers hiring people that knew what they were doing, and they didn't get to the top, but they ran a really good franchise for so many years, and they left the franchise in a good place. I mean, they didn't get to the third round or conference final, I know, but when Snyder and those guys were doing their thing, that was an entertaining product.
And that's why the place was packed.
Yes.
And that's why there's people mad about the teardown.
Sure.
Waiting well, when do we get back to that?
Yeah, and they didn't get where they wanted to go. I understand all that, but still, there were a lot of good times. I really, really enjoyed watching that team play, the team ball that they had, and then you throw in a guy like an Ingles, an upstart, and a guy like Clarkson who was kind of discarded. You had discarded guys, and Mitchell, he was too short, blah, 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 and they played off of that. And that rallied around the community. So the point being is they have everything that you need to be good ownership. They've already proven it. And we'll see it again. I believe we'll see it again with the soccer.
Yeah, everybody's upbeat.
Yeah.
Both on in front of microphones and cameras, and when no microphones and cameras are around, they're just as upbeat. The answer doesn't change.
Now or never, man.
It's not going to be never.
Yes,
it's going to happen.
That's what you're...
But now, not in 10 or 20 years.
But your mindset has to be now or never.
Yeah, I think it is, and I think they'll get it. And so do you.
I'm fired up for it.
DJ and PK, it's 97.5 The Zone. Stay with us.
You've been listening to The Zone for decades.
Yes!
But now you can watch the guys break down your favorite teams.
Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Catch the video stream of DJ and PK, Jake and Ben, Hanson, Scottie, and JJ and Alex right now at KSLSports.com or by searching KSL Sports on YouTube. Utah's best sports radio is on air, online, and on the KSL Sports app. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. And now, your Rocky Mountain Chevy dealer's strong play of the weekend.
Scottie Scheffler, 82 feet from the hole. He's off the green left in the rough. Lifts this out of the rough onto the putting surface. Now bringing it down the slope towards the hole. Slowly moving. Now picking up speed. That's getting close to the hole. Now picking up speed. Getting close. Scottie Scheffler. And that is right. Get it in. He made it. Chip and birdie. Oh, my goodness. Do you believe it? Scottie Scheffler. Birdies. Hole out. 17. 15 under.
There's the Chevy Strong play of the game. Know it today after 3 o'clock. JJ and Alex will call for it, and you can win fabulous prizes if you know the play. And there it is. It's Scottie Scheffler chipping in on the 71st hole. When it looked like it'd be a difficult up and down, and he could be tied going to the 18th hole, instead he won it. Slam the door.
Yeah, the cool thing is that the ball just kept rolling and rolling and rolling. Usually, if you see guys make it from the fairway, I've done that a few times, but a chip in like that, and usually it's a lot closer. But that thing,
it was downhill going away from him, which is tough.
It was amazing, and the ball just kept rolling and rolling. This guy is just as I was driving last night and I had on the Golf Channel, and he was being interviewed. My wife says, "Did he win?" I said, "Yeah." "Oh, that's boring." And I saw that lady who covers golf said stuff. Here's what we need to do next week to make it more interesting. He plays left-handed. He starts the tournament plus 10. He gets arrested. Bennett hits for him. I mean, I love Bennett. He's just the cutest boy ever. Yeah. And then where can this thing go? That's what remains to be seen. That's the biggest interest now in professional golf is where can it go? Where can he take it?
He's had the best 2-year run now since Tiger. But to match Tiger is so far away. There's so much ground to cover before you can start comparing that. But the back-to-back 5-win seasons, which was actually 7 wins in 5, to win 12 times in 2 years, nobody's doing that. He's got 4 majors to back it up. It's not like he's winning nothing tournaments. He's got a couple of Masters.
I don't think he has to get Tiger.
Right.
I mean, if he gets 12, 13, 14, 15, those types of things, and gets 70 wins, that's plenty good enough.
Yeah, 15 is Tiger. But, I mean, at this point, we've seen a lot of guys get to the 3-4 range where he is now, but we're not seeing people get to 6, 7, and 8. Arnold Palmer is 7. Can you get there?
And I think that the golf is more than the majors too. I mean, that's
so
why
50 tournament wins. I mean, he's almost to the 20,
60,
which is
70.
the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I mean, I think Tiger's got 80 right in there.
Mm-hmm.
So I said 60, 70. So he can approach.
I think
it.
Tiger's at 82.
Yeah, to me, that there's enough there. Yeah. That draws a lot of interest over the next 10 years. But, what we see this a lot with the females. They get older and they want to have children and they sort of drift away. What's it going to be for him? Now, he's made a big, big deal about his kid. Mm-hmm. Too big of a deal, I think, actually, for my taste. I mean, everyone's been there. And I know it's special for him and all that. But does he have 2 or 3 more? Does he want to be there? When I drove up to Jackson Hole in June, I had on the Golf Channel, and it was a replay of a long form Johnny Miller, and he talked about how he stopped because of his kids. And he quoted a church saying of if you know success outside of the home can compensate for failure into it. It's something along those lines. I don't know that I'm saying it literally right. And he stopped playing at that high level because he wanted to be there for the kids. And so what does Scheffler decide to do?
How much time
remains to be seen.
How much time does it take to play at this level and then sustain it? And he's 29 now, and Bennett's tiny. But what happens when Bennett's 5, 7, 10, and he'd rather go to Bennett's game than go out and hit 100 balls out of the sand?
It's not about the practice.
You don't think it is?
It's not exclusively about
the practice. The travel the practice is a problem, and then the travel is a problem.
I think you can practice when you're in school plenty of times. I mean, I think the practice can be there because Miller came back and then won. Mm-hmm. But every game is an away game. Yeah, I have a friend who was a UPS pilot, and he retired early. He said, I never worked at home. I'm in Singapore.
Right. Yeah.
I'm in every
Jersey.
Day is
he's in
away,
Toronto. Yeah. He's just
right.
Yeah.
And so
both those things can wear on you. It's a tremendous amount of time and energy. And once you've done it and you've gotten to the mountaintop, why do you want to go back to the mountaintop again? Is major 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 going to matter to him? Is win 40, 50, 60, 70 going to matter to him?
Selfishly, I'd like to see it.
Right. But he's already, the way he's talking, it already sounds like we know how this is going to go. Enjoy this run, and at some point, he's not going to want to run the race that fast. Will he probably still play? Yes, Spieth still plays. Koepka still plays. Rory still plays. But it feels like they've taken their foot off the gas for one reason or another. And then once you do, can you find it again?
Yeah, where can he go?
Yeah.
That's the story in golf. Where can he take this?
And maybe it's just where does he choose to take it?
Yeah, totally.
Choose, right?
Yeah.
All right, DJ and PK, it's tonight, and there'll be more young golfers coming. They are coming, and you can already see it. You got a teenager winning the Utah Open.
They here.
Yay. The U.S. Amateur. High school kid. Are you kidding me?
And to get the quote for you, PK, it's no success can compensate for failure in the home.
Boy, don't I know.
There you go.
DJ and PK, it's 97.5 The Zone. Coming up in the 9 o'clock hour, we will talk to Kevin Young, BYU men's basketball coach. Moved his schedule a little bit. Now we're expecting him about 9:40 right here on The Zone.
Nominate the youth sports volunteer that you know for the Hercules here of the week. You can submit your nomination at kslsports.com/contests. Listen every Thursday afternoon to JJ and Alex for the winner. Help us celebrate the efforts of those volunteers making an impact with the Hercules here of the week. And it's sponsored by Hercules First Federal Credit Union and Beehive Meals.
DJ and PK coming up. Kevin Young, BYU men's basketball coach, is going to join us at 9 o'clock. That was the original plan. He's bumped back to 9:40. So if you're showing up right now, sorry about that. But he'll be here.
2 new recruits just signed. I think the number 4 guy in the country and the number 7 guy in the country.
You're making stuff up now.
It's Kevin Young, man.
We'll talk to him in 35 minutes right here on The Zone.
Well, it's just, this is unheard of, man. It's still, it is perplexing to me and just baffling to me how for years this couldn't be done. And he comes in and he has a speech there on the night he accepts the job publicly in a press conference. And after 1 year, everything he said he was going to do, he's done. He's done. He's reached the high water mark of several coaches. Frank Arnold with
Danny Ainge, Sweet 16.
Got him there. Well,
Kite and Roberts.
They won that game, so they went to the Elite Eight.
Elite Eight, yeah.
And that's it. And then Jimmer, Sweet 16, would have gotten more with the Brandon Davies situation. But that's it. So he's already
in rarefied air in BYU history.
In the first season, and he gets a lottery pick. We'll see how he turns out as a pro. The last lottery pick they had, Jimmer, we already know that story. And then Arujo, that story didn't end well. So we'll see what Yegor can do going forward. And obviously they'll have another one here in June of 26 with our guy, A.J. DeBonsa. Yeah, absolutely. And they'll probably have 2 draft picks, at least 2. Because Saunders will be out of eligibility, I believe, right? He's a senior. And talking to Kevin last week, he said he was pretty confident that if Saunders had gone into the draft last year, he would have been mid-second. Now has maybe that opportunity to move up. Although it's going to be interesting, because he was the man last year for that team, right? He really came on. And that's another thing that Kevin Young called. He said at the beginning of the season, Saunders is NBA talent. And I thought, well, turns out Kevin Young knows what he's talking about. And how's that going to be? How's the dynamic going to be? Because you go of being the man as a junior to not being the man as a senior.
How do you do playing off the ball?
Yeah. How does that work with DeBonsa? And don't underestimate Wright.
I suspect that Kevin Young has told him, yes, it'll be difficult, but guess what? When you go to the NBA, you're not going to be the man, so make the transition now.
He's trying to get to the NBA. I don't think that it is a guarantee that he's in the NBA. This is an audition for the NBA, and not having the ball, you will not be able to audition as well as you would have potentially your junior year. I don't think he's a guaranteed lock NBA player. That's going to be a dynamic.
But if he's got Kevin Young in his corner telling people he has a relationship with, this guy was good when he was a guy, and this guy was good when he had to play off the ball.
That's great. That'll get him an opportunity, but it won't keep him in the league.
No, he'll have to
help him make the league.
Right, but to stay in the league, you're going to have to do it when you get there.
Well, to make the league. You got to make the league before you stay in the league. I don't know that he would be a high first rounder or whatever, and all second rounders are the whole goal is to make the league.
Make a roster.
And then go from there. And so it's going to be a different dynamic for him. Doesn't mean it can't work. Doesn't mean he can't flourish. It's just going to be different. I don't know how it's going to play out. That is what we'll find out. But it adds to the intrigue. And then also, too, it's important that DeBonsa comes in as a top 2 or 3 pick, that he goes out as a top 2 or 3 pick.
Right.
Yeah, and that's just up to the players, the other 2, Boozer and the other kid over at Kansas, the Darren kid. And then who has what need when the draft lottery is not determined for another 10 months. But whatever he's projected top 3, and to not have him go top 3, or, if he goes 4, that's not a big deal. But we've seen some kids who enter their freshman season as a lottery pick and then get nowhere near it and then don't make the league. That's a knock on that program. Now, some of these coaches, if that were to happen, Bill Self, if that were to happen, well, he's got so much credibility built up that it doesn't matter. Kevin Young is in the beginning stages of this thing, and I think it's extremely important that, and I asked him about that the other day, and I said, you feel pressure? And he says, we feel a responsibility. It's sort of splitting hairs there, but I like the word responsibility, too. I think that's appropriate in this case. And everything Kevin has done with the team has been impressive. The stones to be able to just sit down Catchings and say, this isn't working, knowing full well the second he sits him down, he's gone. And bring in Mag, who's a senior, who's going to be gone, but it helped the team that year get what they needed to get. That was a brilliant move.
As much as this boggles your mind, it seems like there's multiple things that have changed. One, obviously, the NIL rules changed, so there was an opportunity there that hadn't been there before.
I think that's overstated, though.
Kevin, and that's why there's more things. And obviously, Kevin Young came in with what he knows about basketball and, just as importantly, who he knows in basketball. So that's different. And coming in with an NBA pedigree, not something BYU had before. And then they went to the Big 12. Now, the way they were recruiting and the way the program was run, they were third place in the West Coast Conference most of the time. And not every year, but most of the time. Moving to the Big 12, didn't they have to change the way they were doing things, or just be looking at, hey, we're going to be bottom 4 or 5 in this league?
Well, the thing changed. The NIL changed for them.
Yep.
I mean,
a lot of things happen all at once.
Stuff beyond that?
There could be something beyond that. I mean, I think clearly those 3 things changed, and that's why BYU basketball now doesn't look anything like BYU basketball 5 years ago.
Well, I think they clearly relaxed the grooming standards on the honor code.
Yeah.
He's talking about a player that he said it reminds him of Kenneth Faried, and then he said it's not just the hair. Well, that just shot up.
Because the hair is part of it.
Yeah, but that 5-10 years ago, the Kenneth Faried hair wouldn't be allowed.
Be a non-starter.
And now it is.
Yeah.
So and I have no problem with it. I know they don't want to ever talk about it, but it's obvious.
It's clear it happens.
Yeah. And they've done some other things that I was telling them. I was talking to somebody over the weekend. Well, what about how come they didn't let Retzlaff? I said, because it was a lawsuit, man. Yeah. They're up against it there. There's no choice. That's why the coaches, as soon as it came out, he's gone. I came in June, and I said they're preparing for the season without the guy. And, oh, by the way, keep an eye on this other guy. And I think that's come to pass. So as far as that goes. So they've relaxed some things there, and that's fine. I got no problem. They can do away with the honor code for all I care, and then I have no personal interest in it one way or the other. But that's what they've done. And the money, it's the fact that they've stepped up their game and went all in is a little surprising when for years and years they would say, well, we're going to do more with less. Well, now they're going to do more with more. But a kid like DeBonsa and these other top kids, they're going to get that anywhere. But yet they still chose BYU. It wasn't like it was BYU or not financially. That's not the case.
No, he had multiple suitors.
Yeah.
He just had to pick.
They were going to get that money. Those kids are going to get that money no matter where they go, and they chose BYU. That still blows me away.
DJ and PK, it's 97.5 The Zone. We're about 20 minutes away from chatting with Kevin Young right here on The Zone.
Whether you're stuck in the office,
I believe you have my stapler,
in your car, or at your in-laws.
You want a piece of me? You bet I do.
The Zone is with you every step of the way. Download the KSL Sports app to get live streaming of your favorite shows and access to all the latest updates on your favorite teams. Your home for the best coverage of the Utes, Cougars, Jazz, and Mammoth is on air, online, and on the KSL Sports app. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Time for the Slacker Radio headlines, brought to you by Trajan Wealth. Call Trajan Wealth today, your local trusted financial fiduciary, 801-899-7600, or visit the website at TrajanWealth.com. The Big Ten's going to keep throwing out playoff proposals for college football until something sticks, PK. Which one of the 5 that are out there now are you most interested in?
5? I couldn't even name you all 5.
Okay, here we go. Ready?
No.
Number 1. Stay with the 12-teamer like it looked last year.
I wasn't ready.
B. Go to 16 teams, 5 automatic bids for conference champs. Committee picks 11. 3. 16 teams, but 4 guaranteed bids to the Big Ten, 4 to the SEC, 2 to the ACC, 2 to the Big 12, 1 to the Group of 5, and we got play-in games, triple headers in the ACC, in the SEC, and the Big Ten. D, 24 teams.
I've already checked out, man. I didn't get to D.
Number 5, 28 teams. Discuss amongst yourselves.
I have to see what are the parameters. You just don't throw out raw numbers and act like that's the entire story.
Yeah, well, there'd have to be more parameters because at this point I think we're at the throwing out raw numbers portion of this. Maybe privately they've discussed more and they'll leak here in the next few days.
Yeah, I don't think they should go outrageous. I think it should be incremental. See what works.
I don't like 24, 28 teams.
I don't know. I don't know that I don't know.
It's too many. I just don't think you're going to be giving home games to these top teams and to think that Team 24 is going to go in and beat Team 1, 2, or 3 on the road. What are we doing? What are we doing? I feel that way.
So
I feel that way about the NFL putting in a 7th team in each conference.
You go nuts for March Madness, and there's been 2 16s over ones. So why do that?
And because I don't watch those, because there's 4 games at a time, and I can watch another one that's more competitive.
But you never say, "What are we doing?"
And I don't watch the Tuesdays or Wednesdays.
So what?
And I have asked, "What are we doing?"
I always watch the Tuesday and Wednesdays. Those are compelling games.
And I always ask,
"Why wouldn't you watch the Tuesday or Wednesdays?"
What are we doing about? I just don't watch Team 16 play Team 16. I have watched when it's been a team from one of the leagues our school's in. I have watched some of them. But
you freaking covered it. Why didn't you tell them, don't send me? I couldn't care less about it.
Yeah, I know I did cover it.
Yeah, but when it was in something good for you, I'm all in. Sign me up.
Yeah, I don't really turn down assignments. You do, but
they could have gotten other people. Somebody else could have done it. You could have easily said, I'm not interested. I don't care about this. You're wasting your money. Don't send anybody.
It was year after Jimmer. Everybody was still excited.
Justify it all you want.
Yep.
I mean, I like competition. That's like saying, well, but why,
so do you think
watch
it'll be
2
competition?
6-6 bowl games?
Do you think? I don't. I skip them all the time.
Well, you've missed out on you missed out on Utah State and New Mexico State.
I watched that one because it was a local team. That was a good game.
Well, if it's in your best interest, whatever self-serves you, you'll watch it.
There's too many games to watch them all, PK. You're darn right I'm using them to self-service and what's important to me. I can't lock down and do all of that.
Why not? You
There's
can
not enough
too.
time. There's
too
much going on.
We all have the same amount of time. Time is.
You don't watch all the 6-6 teams either.
I watch a good game. If it's a good game, I'll lock down on it, just like I did on those Tuesday games. I'm all about competition. I'm not about some brand name and some thing that somebody else has decided, oh, this is important, so you must watch, or this isn't important, so you don't watch. I decide for myself. I want good games. I don't care what level, who's playing, whatever. If it's a quality game and it's fun to watch, sure, it's entertainment. It's like I don't go when the Oscars come out and then they say, oh, these movies. BFD. Some committee decides somebody movie is great, so I got to go see it? No, I decide for myself. Do I want to watch that? Does that interest me? Whether it got 0 tomatoes or 20 tomatoes, or I don't know how they rate those things.
I don't have much expectation for these lower-ranked college football teams that are down there at 18, 20, 22, whatever, to go in and beat the top 2, 3, 4, 5 teams in the country in a road game.
Yeah,
and
you
have to
didn't
play
think
one
San
road
Diego
game
State
after
was going
another.
to get to the final in basketball, and they did.
I didn't either, but also those are neutral court games, and that opens up the possibility. And we also know from the tournament that even though we can't identify a team, there's frequently a team in the Elite Eight or the Final Four that's from, not a power league or a brand name.
I don't want to deny kids just because you don't think it's important. I'm going to deny an 18-year-old an opportunity of a lifetime to go play in the horseshoe, and then he'll be talking about for the rest of his life, but somehow I'm too uppity to think, forget that.
Okay, so you're going with the 24 or
I
28
don't know
team proposal.
what I'm going forward. I just said I have to see how. Let's go incrementally and see how it works. And then if you need adjustment, go ahead. If you don't need adjustment, don't. I'm not saying go from 12 to 28. No, I thought I said that. Incrementally, they're going to go to 16. Let's see how that works. What's the big hurry? Why do you have to have all this change immediately? We've got infinite amount of time here. See what works and then adjust accordingly. And maybe that is it. 16 is the thing.
Number.
Yeah.
The number.
And it's legit. I thought 12 was pretty good last year.
I did too. And I think we saw a lot of lopsided games, which was everyone's got their bias, and that was my assumption going in that, hey, it's going to be hard for these lower-ranked teams to win true road games against higher-ranked teams, and then it turned out to be spot on. Now, it's still a small sample size, and it's only 1 year.
Okay, so what?
Maybe it'll happen.
Okay, yeah. Why shouldn't it be that way? Those other teams got all the advantages.
I know.
But we're now starting with the $20.5 million, and coaches have told me 4 or 5 years ago, 3 years ago, when this thing comes down, we'll see a leveling. It'll never be level. A leveling of the playing field. Let's see. Who would have thought BYU would get the number one recruit? A black kid from Boston coming to BYU and doing what he's doing, going in the student section. And the kid has brought untold publicity to BYU, and at no point does he fit the BYU profile, the typical BYU profile.
Do you think with this leveling we're going to get back to where – because there was a time, and it wasn't that long ago, although it's fading over the horizon a little bit, there was a time where we saw Iowa, Wisconsin, and Michigan State win the Big Ten. Mm-hmm. Now, we haven't seen that recently. It's back down to it's Ohio State and Michigan with, Penn State and Oregon kind of hanging out, and Oregon won it last year but then got smoked in the rematch by Ohio State.
Something you said years ago has stuck with me. You have to hire the right person who hires the right people.
Yeah.
You push that. We're going 15 years ago. And there has been, when you said that, it stuck with me all this time because there has been case after case after case that statement was 100% correct. 100%.
And sticking with college football, the place we really see it is USC. When they get the right person with their tradition, their money, their location, they are spectacular. And in our lifetime, they've gotten the right person 3 times, and they have gone on a ride that has been awesome. Now, having said that, they have not gotten the right person at least a half dozen times, and there's a ton of hype, but there's 6 to 8 wins, and it's not special, and they're tying San Diego State. and there's nothing special about it.
Uh-huh. Yeah. So I think that's the deal there. And let's see how that plays out going forward. I'm really interested. That's why I want to go incrementally, because the people that know way more about it than I do are saying this has an opportunity. And I think Mark Harlan said that the other day, and I didn't go to it, but I read some stuff out of the local KSLSports.com and I think the D News and whatever, is that they talked about that. Is that, okay, we will see some change. And I think Harlan said a quote along the lines of, well, we have to behave ourselves and we have to basically hold each other accountable, police each other to make sure that everything is within the framework of what's acceptable, what's allowable, that type of thing. So I would love to have no more expansion for 10 years. None of this constant shuffling that we've had. People keep saying, like Graham, college football is just it's not a bad place. It's fine.
It's actually in a good place.
Let's see let's have some peace for 10 years and see where we're at instead of this constant movement rumors of movement and blah, 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 blah.
As good as that sounds, we won't.
I know.
Because at the end of the decade, change is coming.
That's why I said 10, not 5.
Yeah, we're getting it at 5.
I know.
But why can't we just calm down for 5? Do we have to change the playoff format every year?
Well, I'll settle 5. And I don't consider 12 to 16 a massive change. Obviously, the other ones that you put out there.
4 to 12 was a massive change.
Right.
And 12 or 16 to 24 or 28 would be a massive change. So
Exactly.
I guess of all the changes, that is one of the smaller
So if they
ones.
want to go to 16 after this deal's up, not this year, but the following year, I could probably live with that. And I think what Yormark and the other commissioners, particularly the non-Big 12 or Big 10 and SEC, the 11 and the 5 automatic. I think I can live with that, but I want to live with it. I want to live with it. I don't want a Hollywood marriage here. I'm not a Kardashian after 28 days and we change stuff. I want to see some love, and let's have some consistency, and let's tone it down. See what we got.
If they'd gone to 16 last year, Bama would have gotten in. They were the highest ranked team that was left out at 9-3.
Or maybe BYU gets in. In my mind, they should have.
Miami, Ole Miss, and South Carolina were the next 3 teams. BYU at 17 would have been the first team out. The Big 12 would have had 1 team in.
Oh, well, what do we got? Joe Lenardi here? First team out?
Yeah. Yeah, that's Lenardi speak.
Let's get
Iowa State would have been the second team out. The Big 12 got a raw deal.
Get Ken Palm on the air here.
KenPalm.com.
You ought to translate.
Not enough data inputs in football.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, Ken Palm, they go right to him. See, football is like all over the place.
Yeah.
Seemed like you got 20 different measurements, and I don't know who to trust and whatnot, so I sort of looked through them all.
Anything else we talked about in this show you want to get to? Kevin Graham talked a lot of football. Wasn't really buying any of the local quarterbacks. Jackson Dart looked good over the weekend. Zach Wilson. He did say he expects Zach to play just because who really thinks Tua's going to make it through 17 straight games?
Let's see what he can do when he gets another chance. Being on a roster, you'll get a chance. You now had 3 teams, if he makes this Miami team, which we suspect he will, that feel like he's got NFL talent, or else they wouldn't have kept him.
Right.
Right.
And the last 2 have been coaches who have a really good rep on the offensive side of the football.
Mm-hmm. So let's see what we got here when he gets a chance. I think Dart is going to be a player.
It does look like it, doesn't it?
I've been saying it all along. I saw him play.
At Corner Canyon or at Roy, or both?
I didn't see him play at Roy.
Yeah.
I saw him play at Corner. And more importantly, I've talked to people
who know him.
And
they have a lot of confidence in his ability.
They know way more about it than I do.
Yep.
And I rely on them to say, okay, he can do this, this, and this. He's got this mind and blah, blah, blah. So I think he's going to be a player.
Yeah. Kevin's observation was, aside from the football stuff, the whole charisma, team bonding, the way players react to him, like they rally around him. So if you've got the size and the arm strength, that's great. If you got the mind you're talking about, and now if you got the relationship with your teammates, that's the complete package right there.
Which I think at the college level, Dampier has it up at Utah.
DJ PK, when we come back, we'll talk with BYU basketball coach Kevin Young. Stay with us. Join the zone at the Hans and Scottie Invitational, Cedar Hills Golf Club. Hans and Scottie broadcasting live from the tournament tomorrow from noon to 3. DJ and PK, it's time now to talk BYU basketball with the coach, Kevin Young. Coach, good morning.
Hey, guys. How you doing?
Good. Thanks for coming on.
You bet, man. Glad to be on.
It's been a year now. We've all taken new jobs, and there's always new stuff to learn when you take a new job. What is one thing that you are much better prepared to do now and much better at than you were a year ago?
I think just attacking kind of this I guess, training camp preseason, just a lot greater understanding of what I want it to look like, knowing exactly what we're going to be going up against. I mean, that was the hard part last year, just kind of, I was watching obviously a lot of film trying to get ready, but now having a year under our belt especially with continuity on the staff, we feel like we're ahead of the game from that standpoint, which we feel good about.
I got up here in 1993, and I was hired by the Salt Lake Tribune to be a college basketball writer, right? And so I had to get up to snuff. You asked me the other day if I covered Alex Jensen, and yeah, I did. I was the beat writer for his entire time. And it was BYU. The logic was, hey, we got to get the best LDS talent, and then we augment it. And then fast forward to the April before last, and you're there at the Marriott Center. We're sitting in the audience, and you're talking about things that I'm thinking, yeah, right. And I told you I grew up in New Jersey for a good part before moving to Arizona. So I have that Jersey skepticism, and I think, yeah, sure, Coach. But sure enough, man, you've done it, and everything you said you were going to do, you've been able to do, and it's been just amazing to watch you roll with the basketball program. And I'm wondering, my question as I get to it, is that when you took the job, you had an entirely different outlook than all of your predecessors, and so far you've been able to achieve that. How did you come into the job with a philosophy of recruiting the best talent? Not necessarily, if it's LDS, so be it, but your philosophy has been so different than the predecessors, and I'm wondering, how did you dream up in your mind that before you took the job and then be able to execute it so far?
I think there's a lot that goes into it. I think just one big picture in terms of your specific question, it's, I don't know, that's just kind of how my mind has always sort of operated. I just want to, I think I can do whatever I set my mind to do. Now, obviously, things are going to be really, really hard. There's, you're not always going to hit, a home run and so forth. But, I just want to build on the success that BYU's had, and I felt like it was honestly a timing thing. Going into the Big 12, combine that with, my NBA background and my history in that league, and then you talk about NIL. It's just like this perfect storm of things happening all at the same time. And I felt like if we didn't limit ourselves and really set out to do what you mentioned there, I felt like with all those factors kind of in this big tornado at one time, I wanted to at least try to, push the envelope. And that was kind of the philosophy behind it.
When you do that, you inevitably have to tell people who have planned their whole lives about going to BYU and being on the basketball team, and they find out that's no longer possible. Some of those people have powerful parents, boosters, donors, and all that. How hard has it been to break the news to people who are pretty sure that they were going there based on what they'd seen for the previous 20, 30, 40 years, that's not going to happen? Because it looks like you're only taking 1, 2, maybe 3 high school kids a year, and 3 might be a reach.
Yeah. I think it's what I've learned in this job pretty quickly. I think every year is very unique, and so I don't think it's a scenario where, here's what we're doing every single year. I think it varies. You look at this point, I'm going on our 3rd recruiting class. We feel like we've got the best player out of the state of Utah 3 years in a row. And so, we're very active in recruiting the state. We're very active in recruiting LDS talent. And so there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes that people don't see in terms of us, recruiting kids and planting seeds. And also, too, I do feel like it's really important to mention that, in this era of the transfers and the portal, you never know what's going to happen. Kids may go somewhere, whether it be a different level or different, geographical region, and maybe, they want to come back to the state, or maybe, they go in the portal and it makes sense for us at a later time. And so, there's so many things that we're doing as it relates to down the road and planting seeds and building relationships and just trying to put ourselves in a position that this is a place that, all kids want to come play at, and obviously having the mission of the church behind what we're doing, that's a big part of who we look at as well. And so we try to, strike the balance. You use the previous coach's philosophy, get the best LDS kids and kind of augment it. I don't think we're that far off from that. Now, obviously, we've been able to kind of, quote unquote, augment it with, higher end talent than that has been here before. But I actually don't think the general philosophy is all that different. And obviously we've tapped into the international market as well. And so, there's a lot that goes into it, man. Recruiting it's a tough job in and of itself, as you guys know very well.
it seemed that the impediment to big-time basketball success was the mission program. Kids go away. It's a highly skilled sport. It's hard to get back. And plus the chemistry involved with the players. You know, one guy leaves this year, one guy goes, especially when it was 19 and they had the option to attend. I mean, I realize they still have that option now, but most of them would go and then come back. Now they can go right out of high school and have the 4 or 5 years straight. So maybe that settled it out. But then also, too, we thought that the honor code was somewhat restrictive. But yet for you, it hasn't been, which has just been amazing to me. What is your explanation for that?
Well, first on the mission, I think it's really, a couple of things to that. Number one, this year-to-year thing is now the new norm, right? So guys coming in and out, coming back from mission and so forth, I mean, that's now normal, right? So you kind of just have to deal with it. But also, I love the mission component because, like as an example, Chamberlain Burgess, who's the guy we have, he just left on his mission not too long ago. And so in a lot of ways, you're building your pipeline. You're building your coffers, and guys come back, and they're bigger, stronger. Now you can intermix them into your program. So I love that component. And then the honor code, it is what it is. We're a place that allows guys to come in here and not have a lot of distractions. We've leaned into that quite a bit. LDS or not, I mean, I think all the parents love it. I mean, I'm a father of 3 going on 4 kids. I would – that's an environment I would love my kids to go to college in, right? I know that's not for everybody, and that's fine. And we do a good job, I think, of streamlining our intel and figure out who that jives with and who it doesn't. Because I think at the end of the day, there's just a lot of value-based people in this world, whether they're in the church or not. And I think if you can find the right kids and families that want to lean into that and allow their young man to come to our school and lock in on the task at hand in an environment that's really conducive to that. That's really been how I don't want to even say message it. That's just our philosophy behind it, and there's no fluff to it. And so I think that straightforward approach has been received well.
I know you inherited a big part of your first non-conference schedule. This one, you had a big hand in here, and I'm not complaining. I just want to make that clear up front. More big games, good, but Villanova, UConn, Wisconsin, Miami, Clemson, either Dayton or Georgetown.
OKC Thunder.
Do you have any friends in the coaching world who call you or text you and are like, hey, I'm looking at your schedule. What are you doing?
No, I mean, I think we studied it, in terms of what teams from our league did last year in their non-conference schedule. And, you can't run. You can't run if you want to be one of the best teams in the country. Obviously, that's an aspiration we have. And, some of that stuff came to our plate, and some of it was stuff that we went ahead and were seeking out. And so it just it came together in that way. We're really excited about it. It is going to be a challenge. But when you start looking at the seed lines and people's non-conference schedule versus their conference and really how many quad 1s and 2s, I mean, you talk about stuff I've learned. I mean, that whole thing coming in, honestly, I didn't understand any of it at all. And so now I have a little bit better feel for it. So, we just hope that it gets us really 2 things done. 1, it helps us prepare us better for Big 12 play. And then 2, we're hoping that when it comes time for the seed lines to get announced, that because that schedule is pretty tough, that we'll be in a position to benefit from it.
We understand last year, everything was new, and it was a little bit of a slow start. If I remember correctly, I think it was like 2-4 in league. And I talked to you the other day talking about it sort of blew me away that you had to go back and look at Dallin Hall's baskets. And nobody was there last year. A couple of maybe some auxiliary people, but the gist of the coaching staff, and you need your familiarity. And then you make some changes. You bring in, you get Mag, you play him more, and things come together, and you really take off, right? And it was a great ending to a pretty spectacular final 2 months. This season, with the nature of that schedule, I mean, you want to be prepared for the conference schedule, but you also want to show well in that brutal non-conference schedule. What are you going to do to try to get the gel earlier rather than in January? You see what I'm saying there?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, well, number one, we've had guys in on campus, all summer early. We even had some guys in for the spring, which was awesome. I think there's a lot, I think, that helps us be better there. Number one, continuity just from a staff perspective. There's a lot less guesswork in terms of what we want to do, what we want to, I think, be about on both sides of the ball, particularly defensively. There's a lot more clarity for me. So I think that's a big part of it. But really, man, just trying to get these guys to this particular group of talent to come together. And that's really what our summer has been focused on. Less, elbow here, right foot there, this type of specific coaching. It's concepts, continuity, and let these guys play, right? And try to get these guys to come together. That is going to be the most important thing for this group. And a large part of that goes into, why we put this particular group together. We felt like in the intel work that we did on all these guys that, it's guys that are good people that we felt like we could really have them all come together. That's a big part of it, especially when you're going this year to year. You bring in one bad apple and the whole cart goes to rot. And so we tried to make sure we avoided that. But we'll see. I mean, that topic is the one that I probably spend the most time thinking about, is how we can get this group to play together.
Kevin Young, BYU men's basketball coach, joining us. I'm curious kind of the evolution of the game. There was a time that Jerry Sloan was running the pick and roll with Stockton Malone. Everybody's like, he's so old school. Now it's pick and roll everywhere you look. There's so few plays called. Do you believe in plays to get certain players the ball in certain spots where they're really good at key times in the game? Or do you like that free-flowing and they will figure it out and let's run a lot of pick and rolls and, there's variations on a pick and roll, which two players and where on the floor? How do you sort all that out when you're looking for a big bucket in a big game in a big moment?
Yeah, so there's so much that goes into the offensive philosophy for me. I mean, funny enough, I don't know if a lot of people, especially here in Utah, know this or not, but my first real foray into pro basketball was a fly on the wall for the Jazz training camp up in Boise when I was a lowly kind of assistant with the G League operation. So truly, like 3 years in a row, I'd go up to Boise where they'd have practice at Boise State, and I'd just be in all the meetings and listen to Coach Sloan and Coach Johnson just break everything down and watch them teach it. And the irony in Coach Sloan is he was actually ahead of his time in terms of like this flow offense. Now, granted, they were doing it out of the 1-4 high. It was a lot more compact than what we see now, but it was very much read and react, and that actually really impacted me as a young coach. And so I kind of took that philosophy and ran with it when I was a G League coach, and then kind of made my own philosophy based around this idea of flowing into stuff. And so shout out to Coach Sloan and his staff who really taught me that many years ago. Now, as it relates to getting guys the ball in specific spots, I mean, that, like when I was in Philadelphia with Brett Brown, who was a Coach Pop's like right-hand man for many years, that's where I really kind of got my philosophy on how I see the game offensively. So there's a time and place for everything. So we play our flow offense, we play our concepts where when the game is slow and static, whether that's after timeout, whether that's after a free throw, whether that's a dead ball and we're just walking the ball up, that's when we try to get a little bit more specific on, okay, we want he come into his right hand, or we want to get, last year Foose on this block or that block, or we want Jaeger and this kind of pick and roll, so forth. So I think there's a time and place for all of it. And, luckily for me, that was what I spent the majority of my NBA career helping all of our teams with, and brought a lot of that philosophy with us here. And now it's fun to do it with, different players this year, a little bit more dynamic guys in terms of Rob and AJ, and now we mix Richie in there with some. So we'll have a lot of combinations we can go to. I mean, that's the stuff I could nerd out and keep this call going for hours, but I'll spare you guys that.
Well, you mentioned three guys, obviously supreme players, can be very good offensively, can break down defenses, get to the basket, and all that. So you'll certainly have rim attackers from the offensive standpoint. You mentioned Foose, and it seemed like, when the defense maybe had you locked down, you could throw to him, and he could power his left shoulder to the hoop. What do you have as far as that, replacing him this year for that type of offense?
Well, last year, I mean, by virtue of the team we had, we felt like we really had to manufacture a lot of our buckets. We didn't have a guy that could really just go get one, and now we've got a couple guys in fact, the other day in practice, we were doing something, broken play. AJ just grabbed the ball, went and scored. Mm-hmm. And one of my assistants came over to me and was like, man, it's going to be nice to be able to have a guy that can do that this year. Sure. So I think him and Rob, I think the ability to just kind of go off script and just make something happen. We don't feel like we're going to have to kind of joystick every action when the game is slow like that and static. And so, that'll be a luxury, but obviously we'll have to find, our go-to stuff. Richie was the staple when the game got tight. We have some other guys. I think we'll probably post our guards a little bit more. AJ's pretty good down there. Actually, Kennard Davis is really good down there as well. And so that'll be the fun part for us in this next, when we get these guys back on campus, as we start kind of dipping into that type of stuff. Mainly we focused a lot on our just concepts offensively and some of the defensive stuff, and we'll dip into more of that specificity when they get back.
Richie Saunders was taking about 11 shots a game, and he was going to the free throw line pretty often as well. And, he was the guy in a lot of regards. And now you got AJ there, so there's more off the ball. Human nature could say, I don't like that. And I think plenty of basketball players over time at the high school, college, and pro level have said that. But there's also an argument out there that, hey, learn to play off the ball here, because that's what you're going to have to do in the NBA, and you want to get to the NBA. Do you have conversations with him with that? Does he bring it up? Do you bring it up? How does that work?
Yeah, we talked a lot about that. I mean, he had some decisions he had to make, obviously, this offseason with relative to his future, and want to know what things were going to look like here. I mean, the great thing about Richie Saunders is, the way he plays the game and has had success playing is exactly how he's going to have success in the NBA. And so last year, I mean, I would quote unquote call his play sometimes, but particularly in the games and stuff. But for the most part, everything he just got out of the flow of our offense. And so he's an unbelievable closeout player, one of the most efficient closeout players in the country in terms of catch and shoot, catch and drive. And so that's not going to change. I see him having, the great thing about him is just how efficient he is. I mean, he's one of the most efficient guards in the entire country when you look at his effective field goal percentage, his three-point percentage combined with, his ability to finish at the rim and get to the free throw line. So, he's not gonna take a hit. I think if anything, he's gonna be better, because now, I mean, who's their best defender gonna guard? Rob, AJ, or Richie? All right. Well, who's the second best defender gonna, right? And so he's gonna be able to, I think, be a beneficiary of that. And we've actually had a lot of discussion about that, and I think he's excited about what's to come. As I've watched them play, together a lot this summer, that became pretty obvious. Just AJ's very unselfish, and he draws a ton of attention. Rob Wright is really hard to keep out of the paint, really good decision maker. So it'll be fun to have those guys come together, and I think that they all know that they need each other. That's the best part.
Barring something crazy, I think we all know AJ will be on your team for one season, then he goes away and does his thing for years to come in the NBA. The thing that I think is so impressive is that he seems to be, at this point, he wants to experience all that a college freshman can experience. And I'm not just talking about basketball. You see him with the student section. You see him all around. He's representing BYU every which way, every place he goes, literally, and you saw it overseas probably. I just think that's incredible, and to me it's a surprise. I'm guessing to you that it probably wasn't.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's amazing. Honestly, it really is. It's, I had someone text me the other day from Times Square, his, some interview, whatever was up, and his picture was up in Times Square. I mean, just I mean, obviously BYU is a worldwide brand in and of itself, but now you tack on, what's most likely going to be a generational type talent to kind of wave the BYU banner on the heels of what Yegor has done and will do in the NBA. Just a really cool time, I think, for BYU on a basketball standpoint, to get the brand out there even more and have really awesome young men represent it. And I do think it's really cool that AJ's embraced everything that you just said. I mean, the student section, every time he's on an interview, he's wearing the gear proud. And so it really is just fun, honestly. It's fun and it's exciting.
Well, Coach, we appreciate a few minutes this morning. Thanks for joining us, and good luck going forward. We'll talk to you again.
All right, guys. Thank you.
Kevin Young, BYU men's basketball coach, join us here on The Zone, taking us right to the end of the show. Jake and Ben are up right after the break. Stay with us.